like that, how disappointing is it when you are the rider in question? And how do you sort of counter that? How do you put that behind you?
Well, first of all, he'll be really disappointed because he'll be hoping like hell that that's not the difference between winning and not winning at the end of Sunday. Funny enough, I didn't think of him as a winner earlier yesterday when Rupert asked me. It was mainly because I was really worried about his trot up. The horse didn't trot up perfectly, and I was just really worried about it. But in actual fact, the horse looked fantastic in the dressage.
I think we were all absolutely gazing at it, weren't we? Just seeing what they might have thought they saw yesterday.
So no hint of any unlevelness there. And I have heard from around the traps that he always trots up like that. He doesn't trot up very well, and it's just one of his little quirks. So my concern maybe should be dissipated, and I'm thinking, damn it, I should have had my money on him. I tell you what, the other really, I'm not quite sure, I'm going to say unlucky, but Jesse Campbell. That horse was going phenomenally well, but then the horse jacked up, really spat the dummy in for it. He had to circle twice, and you're not meant to circle, so he got two errors, of course. And if the horse, and this is in the transition from the halt or the walk into the canter, the horse just spat the dummy. And for a second there, we thought he was going to leave the arena. So he was actually lucky to stay in. But then after messing up a couple of movements like that, went on and started scoring 7.5s, 8s and 9s again. So I tell you what, that had the potential to go into the mid-30s, I reckon, at one stage. He was going in 75, 80% early on in the in his dressage. So I tell you, he's going to be disappointed. Possibly relieved that he didn't leave the arena at that moment, but disappointed that what could have been.
Yeah, Kate Humble was here earlier on talking a little about the magic she sees in the relationship between horse and rider. A fantastic working partnership that you see right here, but there's also the rider has to be a diplomat, they have to be a therapist, they have to be so many things to their horse. Yeah, same with the trainers and the parents and things. That it's a tricky. You talk about sports science and everything, the psychology that goes on with good performances is so important, and just squeezing every fraction of a point out that you can get from the ring. So Dermot, the other two riders to watch this afternoon in the next session.
The next two to watch, well, the first one, as I was saying, is Bettina Hoy, Designer 10. They're up at just before 14:14, just before 2:15, expecting them to come in around 40. That would, if all goes to plan, and as you say, Matt, we couldn't agree more. Cappuccino was going to the mid-30s. They have been mid-30s before. That's where Cappuccino was at Lamoulan back in 2015. He was going there again, and as you say, very disappointed. If it goes to plan, Designer 10 should be about a 40, take over the leaderboard. The next one comes a little bit after that. King de Brio and Thibaut Vallette can go under the radar of some people purely because he does not have many international runs on his record. To give you an idea, Thibaut Vallette, career-wise, is looking at about 32 internationals. That's only 1/3 of what Oliver Townend did just last season. 96 internationals last season for Oliver Townend. Thibaut, only 32 in his whole career. That's why he goes under the radar a little bit. He did a 41 at Rio with King de Brio. I think they could also challenge the leaderboard, but then the final one is Sam.
And very, very quickly, because we are running out of time, but what are you seeing in terms of the statistics that Sam and Mickey are putting out there?
It's incredible. I mean, everyone knows it. Anecdotally, everyone knows it as soon as they see it. But the big one to look at here is if they can finish on their dressage score. They did it at Rio. They did it at Badminton last year. They'll become the first event horse to do it, the second event horse to do it at 4-star level on 3 consecutive occasions.
Brilliant. That's all we've got time for now, guys. Thank you so much for your insight. A very exciting afternoon will now begin to take shape.
welcome back to our commentary position here on Radio Badminton as we get ready for the afternoon session. And in this next hour, we could see the lead change maybe 3 times. Some real star combinations coming out to do their dressage test. I'm Rupert Bell. Alongside me, Pammy Hutton, fueled after her demonstrations, got a coffee, ready to enjoy the next hour. Peter Storr, fresh from a lunch break somewhere. I'm not sure, you were looking for somewhere to go. Did you find somewhere to go?
I did find somewhere, thank you.
Yeah, but, you know, I've got to give him one of those important tickets.
She didn't give me a
Yeah, it's only his first day. He's not ready yet.
Well, you don't think, I don't think he's passing all the tests.
Well, I think he's doing pretty well, but at the moment, don't overplay your hand. Keep something in reserve so to keep the pressure, entice him. But anyway, why aren't...
They're called director's tickets.
Well, I tell you what, here is a man who is still competing, and he is the oldest competitor, and hats off to him. It's Jean Teulere at 63. He is still coming back to try and compete at badminton. He's riding Mateloy de Granval.
Now, Peter, does he sit better than me? Because we're about the same age. You know?
Well, I'll hold out until I see the extended trot.
Oh, don't. I know you told my daughter to video me. That's why I did that sign at you that went all over social media.
It did.
In the middle of the test.
As you were doing your extended trot.
Yeah. So, square halts. Move off a little quick. Now, Peter, you've been told in the lunch hour we've got to be a bit more technical.
Well, I think it's a balance, isn't it, between technical and keeping it entertaining enough.
So be technical with that medium trot.
Okay, so we're seeing a good push from the hind legs, nice ground cover, perhaps a little short in the neck, but it was still a nice, easy medium.
And am I allowed to be technical in the right shoulder in? For me, it had a little too much bending to the right. The bend should be uniform from head to tail. No more bend in the neck than there is in the body. Have I passed that one?
You have. You have.
I'm only going to choose the things I know something about.
I think you know quite a lot about most things, so you'll be fine.
You know, it's questioned sometimes.
But that's one of the main faults that you see quite often in shouldering, where the horse has too much neck bend. It's not a uniform bend through the body.
It was nicely balanced at F. Just gave one of those half halts in the Spanish riding school. Colonel Podolsky was asked how many half halts in half an hour. He said 500.
Do you want to know when he first competed here?
Who?
Jean.
You tell me. Probably the year I did.
Which was when?
I've no idea. It was so long ago I can't remember. Alzheimer's.
1993.
Well, there we go.
Okay, so he's done a few of these then.
No, this is only his 4th time.
I don't know which year I was
He was here last year.
80s. Whichever year Lucinda Green went, and only about 12 went cross-country because it was so muddy. Okay. Everybody withdrew.
Well, this is the 4th time he's been with this, 3rd time he's been with this horse, who he first competed here in 2011 when finishing 37th and 17th last year.
Right. So he would be hoping for better things this year, or he wouldn't be back, presumably. I should be hoping next week when I'm competing. And there's the possibility he really enjoys it. Peter, these steps he has just broken now, but I often describe a walk like this as if the floor is a bit hot, like walking on hot coals.
Yes, I totally agree. You could see the horse is a little bit tense and thinking about what's coming rather than just staying relaxed in the walk. So that'll be an expensive couple of movements in the walk for him. Going back to what we were saying earlier, the medium canter, a little bit short in the neck. You can see he's got rather a tight, short V shape between his chin and his neck. That should be more open and more U-shaped.
Now, when we're looking at flying changes, we've been a bit slow this morning. I find that if you watch only the hind legs, your eye takes in the front legs. If you try and look at all 4 legs, you miss. If you look at the front legs, you miss the hind. So you should be watching the left hind leg and watch it all the way through the change. And if you watch that, your eye will still take in the front end. So that's how I watched the flying change. It was a good change.
It was. It was a nice, easy change. Not the easiest coming back from the medium extended canters.
That's I think the horse is a little hot and a bit tense. And as you said, Peter, short in the neck, not really taking the rein forward.
Yes, and this horse could just perhaps accept the positionings of the half passes, and here you can see this rather sneaky movement that they brought in to see whether the horses are relaxed and stretched down. You can see there the horse didn't really stretch down.
And then his nose is coming back behind the vertical line. Of course, I don't really want to talk too much about that, having caused an uproar about horses that are short in the neck and pulled in. I don't know that this is actually pulled in as perhaps not allowed out.
Yes, I think he's doing quite a good job trying to control the horse. The horse does look rather tense, and he's having to rather hang on to keep the horse under control.
Scored 47.5 last year.
He went, yeah.
Go on, say it.
Well, he went to halt in the wrong place. That was a pity. Yeah. I don't madly like. I think he's gained some good sevens and has been quite lucky, because I would find this really hard to give a mark above 6.5 when he's so short in the neck.
I agree with
behind
you.
the vertical.
Yes,
You do? You do?
agree. Totally.
Good.
Because even if the movement is performed, you know, the half pass is in a correct positioning. If the neck is short, you have to take at least half, if not a mark off, for the fact the horse is too short in the neck.
Well, he's the 2002 world champion. He won it in Jerez with the horse Espoir de la Mer. So how many years ago was that? That's 15 years ago. So he was 47, 8.
And the judges on a rider really disagreed. What's that? 44.5?
54.5.
54.5.
Ranked 16. So he's had a sort of a 63, another 63, and a 64. So they're all agreeing that he's not really relaxed enough today.
They're very quick with their marks.
Just to let you know, listeners and people watching wherever you are around the world, that Rory Bremner will be joining us. Now, if you're listening overseas, you might be saying, who is Rory Bremner? Well, he's a very funny comedian, impressionist, and horse lover, and he will be joining us in our box to discover what it is to be a dressage commentator. No pressure.
Tell me he's not going to try and imitate us or mimic.
Well, that's up to him.
I mean, the man is a genius.
The man is a genius, and Pammy,
I'm praying he can't do women.
I'm pretty sure he has in his time. I don't know whether he's ever, but Pammy, you just might. Well, we'll find out.
Rory Bremner.
So he will be joining us shortly.
Do you know, Peter, you may be laughing, but I am described as when somebody asked me when I asked why did they want me to do the Blue Chip series that's on Sky, I was informed it's because you are the female version of Alan Sugar. You are so rude.
Well, okay. Well, you haven't really been very rude so far.
No, I'm in good form.
Right. And were you pleased with your demonstration?
Well, I've heard good things and things that could be improved upon tomorrow, but the director was very pleased that I was in and out of there very quickly.
Well, next into the arena we have, and a big moment for her, it's Lisa Green, daughter of the great Lucinda Green, and what a moment for her with her horse Marlin Head Clover. There was a fabulous article about her and her desire to get here, had a horror fall, and well, she has just proved by sheer determination and guts that she wanted to get back on the horse and get to Badminton. So fair play to her, and here she is lining up on Marlin Head Clover.
Well, her mother is just outstanding, and I don't know who currently holds the record, but I knew her mother so well and competed against her, never competitively, because Lucinda won everything. Lucinda used to hate the dressage. It was so brilliant across country, and she must be terribly proud to have her daughter riding here.
Well, it's a huge moment because this is her first 4-star that she's competing at, and not only with this horse but anywhere, and so a big moment for her. She had a good place at Stresgom last year. Stresgom?
Don't ask me.
Okay, where she finished 8th. That was in a CCI 3-star. And at Blenheim last year, she completed. So, but that top 8 finish last year was excellent.
She'll be hoping for a double clear. The dressage at the moment is taking a long time to settle in. And Peter, it wouldn't be a great moving horse, would it? With huge steps and...
No, not really. And we're seeing some contact issues, which is causing some rhythm and losing some evenness of the stride, especially in the half passes and shoulder ends. I mean, he looks fairly obedient, doesn't he? He's easy. The last medium was a bit running, and again there we saw a lack of balance, which made him break into canter. Again, quite expensive mistake. She's already had 2 breaks so far into canter.
I've been told how to pronounce it. Pippa Room is so quick. Stragon is how you pronounce it.
3, 4 and a half. So hard to find horses that are athletic geniuses on the flat, because they now have to do smart dressage that would be in the top 10 in our advanced medium at our summer nationals, if they're going to be in the top 10 here. That's how good the dressage has to be.
Exactly.
On the other hand, they have to be star jumpers, bold, quick, nimble. How they stay on lines for the modern day corners, I haven't a clue.
The extended walk here could have more ground cover and over track and be more relaxed. But at the moment he hasn't actually broken into trots.
But you can't give it more than the 6, and the 6.5 is generous. And now we're getting to the 5s and the 5.5 because of the underlying tension and the horse not really letting the jockey into moving. I'm not sure how well this horse moves naturally, but it can canter. That flying change was, muddled?
Muddled, yes. It actually
covers a multitude of sins.
Just overtook her and did it himself, didn't he? He wasn't really balanced, and so it wasn't a true change. And the canter was not balanced enough.
It's on the forehand, but again, conformationally, the front legs are quite short, with a longer hind leg. It's quite difficult for this horse to take the weight onto the hind leg and appear as if he's going up the hills instead of down the hills. As Peter said with the last one, he preempted the flying change. He went before her aid.
And as we saw some other flying changes earlier this morning, with really nice height and expression, this horse really was quite flat in those flying changes. A little bit because he was on the forehand from the extended canter.
And on the forehand basically means just he's on his front legs.
Yes, not carrying himself enough.
With the hind leg underneath enough.
Actually showing some stretching there.
This lovely afternoon at Badminton Horse Trials. She's coming across to the last 2 movements, the last 2 flying changes, which the horse is not really wanting to be on the button. The last one it was,
yes,
with a fair amount of tension. But that was one of the better changes. She's coming down the last centre line for the transition to trot. That's more settled. Yet another horse that now, if it trotted off and did its trot work, is more uphill and in a better balance, Peter.
Yes, exactly.
Can take the whole test.
So, first part done. And Lisa Green has done her bit. And it's a great pleasure. Timing to perfection. I've just seen a tweet. And he is terrified. I didn't think he was possible. He's the sort of man who got terrified.
I'm completely terrified.
And that is the voice of Rory Bremner, because he's terrified of the lady he's now sitting next to.
Pammy, I mean, honestly, there are people out there who would give their mortgage to be sitting where I am sitting now. Hello. It's like an audience with the Pope.
And the other side, that's Peter's store. You are surrounded by two dressage gods.
Oh, well, wonderful. Well, I brought you drinks. Tea for you, Peter, and for you, Rupert. Pammy, I brought you a gin, because I know that's what you like.
Very perceptive. You know, when you see somebody on the television year in, year out, and you sit there, couch potato watching them, God, this man's brilliant, he's stunning. He then walks in, and you look at him, you sort of feel you know him, but you don't at all, so I better be on my guard, Rupert.
First thing, you know,
she thinks I'm Paddy Ashdown. It's really worrying.
I really hope you're not going to be Tony Blair.
No, there's no danger of that. Yeah, I think you're quite all right.
Peter O'Sullivan. Anyway, this is horse sport.
Yes, well, we're in the horse world now. Maybe
but you love your horses.
I absolutely do, yes, it's brilliant.
Have you been to Badminton before?
I have. This last year when, of course, Michael Jung, who we're about to see in a moment, I mean, he pretty much won it on day one. A wonderful test,
So you come in and see the top.
Oh, yeah, well, he's coming in about 4, but we've got Bettina Hoy coming in a couple of horses' time, so I will shut up when she comes in, because that's always worth watching.
Dare we ask, do you know about dressage?
Do you know what, with you sitting next to me, I'm going to say I know absolutely nothing. Basically, I'm here for what they call counter banter.
Do you ride?
I don't. My daughters do. They love it, and my wife as well. So they're very keen. They've done a little bit of eventing, but that's my cousin does some eventing. She's very keen about it. She's doing 2-star at the moment. But my youngest daughter, is a very keen show jumper, and she's having great fun on Trailblazers and NSEA and all that sort of stuff.
Are you a nervous dad watching?
I just go to the tea bar and try not to, and sort of. I'm quite calm about it, really. I mean, I'm just in charge of holding the lead rope and making sure they're in the right place at the right time. But I try to keep out of the way as much as possible because they're quite tense.
This business called dressage?
Yes, it's very technical, isn't it? I mean, this is the thing. You've got to know what you're talking about.
Well, we like to give over that air. Well, it should look beautiful. They should look happy. It should look easy.
Is this hard for the horses?
For some horses, it is, and for others, they're born naturally.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Jim Newsome from Ireland riding McGuinness, a horse that he's competed here twice before, and back again. The 38-year-old Irishman. And explain everything here in simple terms.
Well,
Harry.
Peter's the high-class judge, and he would quite like that to go from canter to halt, like a butterfly landing on a leaf, and that flop to a few steps of trot.
So not really direct into that transition.
It's a nice moving horse.
It's a nice moving horse. It just looks a little bit like he's having a little bit of trouble sitting on the horse.
Yes. Well, we do as we get older.
Is that a problem?
It should look like you can sit, yeah.
Okay.
If you just watch him, he's sort of just a bit bumping.
Mm-hmm.
That's me, Peter, next week.
Yes, I'll remember that, Pammy. Yeah.
Are you judging Pammy next week, Peter?
Probably.
I might be.
Probably.
I think I might be at this stage. So I've now learned that it's very important to be able to sit on a horse. I'm picking it up very quickly.
Okay, yeah. So the horse is doing some nice shoulder in there and into the half pass. And actually, it doesn't seem to affect the horse, the fact that he's obviously got a big movement, so the rider is struggling a little bit to sit.
But the horse is staying in a nice soft outline, and shoulder ins and half passes are technical words for moving sideways. That's an extended trot. We'll focus on the horse.
Yeah.
Big ground covering steps. And that's a transition to walk.
Which he's missed his transition to halt.
To halt.
Oh.
And so what does that mean in terms of, have you got to go back and do it again?
He does, and he also will get an error, of course, which is expensive. 3 judges, marks off from each judge. So he'll be kicking himself for that.
Is that sort of disobedience by the horse, or lapse in concentration?
It was just the rider forgetting.
Oh, we've all done that.
Yes, done that many a time.
So actually, well, somebody's done that already this morning, haven't they? They've had to go around again, and,
yes.
And you get penalised for that?
Yes.
I'll try and remember who it was. It was somebody. It
was Jessie.
It was
it was Peter's pupil, but they went round again because the horse temporarily lost the plot.
Yes, that was a different one. The horse actually did lose the plot a bit.
So we're watching the extended walk, which should be a bigger walk than the other walk. So that's nice, simple terms, Rory.
It is. I think I can follow that.
Yeah, that's.
What's the most technically difficult part of the dressage in this particular test?
I think the flying changes really for some of the horses. You'll see those later on.
Is this walk on a long rein, is it?
It's called extended walk, so it is more on the long rein. The horse should take the contact forward and should make bigger steps. So now you can see
7s and 6.5.
a different walk now. This is medium walk where he's more together in between the rider's leg and hand. They've got to do this quite tricky...
extend across the diagonal line.
Straight away.
And now watch. One step to the other. Poof. Flying change, that's called.
Right.
Got it?
Yep, got it.
Well, I disagree with you, Peter. I think if they're going to jump all these fences, flying change is a piece of cake.
But it is for
I
you,
think the shoulder in's difficult.
Now, what's the shoulder in?
We'll come to that
go back
next
to that.
Next test.
Yeah, we've seen that already.
Is that again moving diagonally sideways?
Yes, that's called a half pass, where they should be looking in the direction they're going and gently cantering sideways, keeping their body parallel to the side of the arena. Okay, now to extended canter, where they cover the maximum amount of ground, coming ready for a flying change now.
There. Which could have been a little bit more forward, and it's only because Peter and I are supposed to analyse why there's a 6.5 on the scoreboard and not 9. Perhaps, because obviously there will be many 9s later on as we...
And so again, you can see him cantering sideways across the arena, looking where he's going, half pass to the left.
A little bit stilted.
Yes.
And I say it hesitantly, Rory, because I don't judge very much, because I get bored. so he judges.
Sorry, what did you say? I wasn't listening.
So, you know, I'm not very good at the judges' terms.
Okay.
I just know that canter looks a little bit.
They've been having a pop at the judges.
Have they?
Yes. Judge E has been copping some flack.
That
We
was.
used to do that on Strictly, and Len used to hate that. But so, yes, I mean, I don't know very much about, but the best ones, they always look effortless, don't they?
Yes,
and this is a little bit more, as Pam said. What was it? It was a technical term. Did you say stilted? Slightly?
Stilted, yeah.
There you go. And is this the last bit?
Yes, then
down
we trot.
centre line. Transition to trot, that could have been a little bit more forwards into that transition.
So if you had to guess, would you say this looks like a sort of low 50s? Or?
I would say it's probably going to be in that sort of...
Low 50s, yeah.
So we haven't had anyone below 40 this morning, am I right?
No.
We haven't yet. We will, I'm sure we will.
Well, maybe the next one.
Have you done this sports commentating lark before, Rory?
I'm
He's guessing.
I'm channeling Mike Tucker.
I hope you would do.
So Bettina Hoy, always there or thereabouts. I love the way he shouts the country after the name. It's impossible for him to say anybody's name without a... So, Bettina Hoy, Germany!
He is my daughter's godfather.
There you go. And when he says, what's her name?
Pippa Hutton.
Okay, does he say Pippa Hutton, Great Britain?
No, he doesn't. I'll tell him
Because
off.
she'd have been christened Pippa Hutton, Great Britain, if he'd been in the church.
Have you worked on Pammy this morning?
When you say worked on Pammy...
Rupert.
It is. I feel like I'm having an audience with the Pope here. It's rather wonderful. So, sorry, I don't want to distract anyone, but so that was Jim Newsome, and it was. How would you summarise that test?
Disappointing.
Yes, it wasn't one of the better tests, but he was fairly obedient throughout the test and did the best job he could, I think.
But he's not going to trouble the scorers. I'm going to shut up now, because coming into play is somebody who even I know is one of the greats.
She is indeed. Bettina Hoy, 54 years of age, on designer 10, but obviously huge reputation. And this horse...
Did you say 54?
She is 54.
Wow, grief.
Yeah, we've seen someone of 63 competing already.
Well, there's hope yet.
Indeed. Might have to go some.
Yeah.
But 34.5 she scored on this horse at Burley last year. So we are expecting a score in the 30s. And our colleagues at Equity Ratings are expecting the lead to change 3 times in the next half an hour or so. So it could be, this is maybe a defining moment for the dressage full stop, and maybe...
Of course, nowadays they do a real draw, don't they, Rupert?
Well, we did one on Facebook. I had Emily King and Hugh Thomas pulling bits of cardboard out of a box in Hugh's office, but we streamed it on this Facebook Live thing. So
by that, in the older days, although it was a real draw, the better horses and riders tended to come in on the Friday magically, didn't they, in the afternoon?
But if you've got two horses...
Friday afternoon, this Friday afternoon is very good as well. You've got Mark Todd, Andrew Nicholson.
Yes, but now the best horse could be drawn first, couldn't it?
No, because they do the two horses. Anyone got two horses come out in the first 15, it was this time. I'm now fully au fait with the draw mechanism after
Well, they
that.
can't choose their order, can they?
Not anymore.
What I'm trying to say is the winner can be amongst the Thursday horses, and you're avoiding saying that the draws were slightly original.
You're getting a telling off now.
Yeah, I haven't been.
So she's in the ring now.
I'm being
Bettina
naughty.
Hoy, Germany.
With a good entry, Peter.
Yes, very
3
nice.
sevens, they're all agreeing. That's good news. Active behind.
Ooh, beautiful.
Ground covering steps does look pretty.
You can see immediately difference.
Yes,
no
a step up in
disrespect to
class.
Jim, to this.
Yes.
So we've
So
got
this
the
is
first
the shoulder
8.
in, and now moving into the half pass.
8s and 7.5 for the collected trot.
Okay, I'll play devil's advocate. Peter, why aren't you hitting the 8 solidly and 9s?
Because I think the horse is a little bit short in the neck. So here's your shoulder in angle now, Rory, there.
Short in the neck, what does that mean?
So it means that the horse is looking a little bit restricted in front. You can see there's a narrow V in between the chin and the neck, and that
should be
look
slightly wider,
wider and U-shaped.
Oh, you're wanting a U rather than a V.
Yeah.
But it's still very positive, very active.
And do you know when she first competed at Badminton? Pammy?
You're going to tell us?
1878.
Well, not bad, but you're a few years out. 1985, where she was 33rd on a horse called Peacetime.
And now it's...
Is that a halt early, Peter, or is that an optical illusion?
I think it may have been a touch early, perhaps.
The thing is that this could be well capable of being unbeatable if it opened the neck a little. Well, even if it's in the wrong place, it got 9 and 2 8, so there you go.
She's going 8s for her rein back steps.
Got a first here 32 years ago.
Yeah, she's only competed here, though, 6 times since in all.
Horse's ears pricked.
5th of this horse 2 years ago.
It's an attractive horse.
Showing some nice steps there in the extended walk.
She looks more still as well at the saddle, doesn't she?
I don't think we're going to revisit that, Mr. Bremner. I don't know you well enough, but I'd prefer not to. I've got some good Irish friends.
Right.
That doesn't sound right at all.
Well, I think we were about to talk about seats in the saddle.
Okay.
Stillness,
Right.
quite possibly. You're picking up tweets, so you're behind
Well, I
us,
know
Dave.
I'm researching, pretending I'm doing last-minute research.
So, Peter, the mark's just not on that 9 button due to the frame, really.
It is a bit.
Is it a sub-40 score?
Well, she's stocking up quite a few
Yes,
7s,
probably by
7.5s
the
and
time
8s.
they've taken in those end marks. That change was a little bit...
What we call croup high.
We're not allowed to use that one because Rupert doesn't understand.
Okay, I was going to explain
Tell
it.
us what croup I means.
Okay, so that's a technical term, but it really means that the horse lifted his bottom in the air a bit. It should give the impression that he's sitting a bit more. We'll see some more flying changes on this next movement.
She's got a few 6.5s there.
So that's what the judges were noticing that.
The croupier.
Yeah. So here she's riding a stretch on the long rein, then picking the horse up and then across the diagonal for the flying changes.
And actually, it's quite hard for a horse because in the air it has to swap all his legs over. There. Lovely rhythm.
And I think those were better flying changes than the ones from the extended canter.
Yeah, because they've got 6.5. This is 7.5, 7,
Yeah.
7.5.
Yeah.
Rory already, he's well on it. He thinks the marks reflect what we're seeing.
Well,
I think even Donald Trump would pick that up.
It doesn't always actually work.
7.5 is more than 6. I know that.
Yeah, but the marks don't always reflect what we're actually seeing. Does that happen to Donald Trump?
There's a delay. That happens a lot. So was that a good halt?
It was a very nice halt, and that will get you a few more marks. That's quite cute, actually. The horse eating grass. He's probably starving, actually.
very high quality grass here at Badminton.
So would she be happy with that, Pammy?
I would say so. We'll probably see her last marks go up. Well, this is going to be difficult. Do you think this is going into the lead?
Well, 41.5 is the lead, so are we? Is it a sub-40
40.
score?
Watching Mark Todd's. Is this a 40, Peter? 39?
I would think so.
It is with these end marks, isn't
Let's
it?
see what the end marks come up with. We'll see.
The end marks, they're times 2, and aren't they?
I think the last 2 are normally.
Come on, Pammy.
Well,
You're supposed to know what you're doing.
No, I don't. My friends do the technical stuff.
This is why this is dressage. You've taken on a challenge here, Rory. If these two guys don't know what's going on, I haven't got a...
Oh, dear.
You know.
We've taught you a lot over the years.
Well, over the years, but it often gets... I get confused.
Rider 8's going into the lead.
Yes.
What's that?
39.1. There we go.
Go.
Our first sub-40.
And
Bettina Hoy, Germany, coming in under 40, and that's set the barrel.
And that is a voice that we won't be hearing after this on BBC, because he is retiring.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh,
As the
God,
lead
they've all gone now. I've not got nobody
There's
to
a
be.
new job opening there for you.
Well, they're all, because my first ones was sort of Bill McLaren and the Scottish rugby and all those, and then it was Bruno O'Sullivan and Peter Alice, and they're all going. And now Mike Tucker. Oh, God. They all go. Dear, dear, dear. So how old is he now, Mike Tucker?
None of your business.
I was going to say, he might...
As we all get older,
Well, if we've got a 63-year-old competitor, Mike Tucker can't be much more than
you cannot know the age.
No, I don't. But there's a 63-year-old...
Do you know I used to train him?
Did you?
When he rode at Badminton, I trained him.
Who, Mike Tucker?
Yes.
Wow.
There you are, you didn't know that.
So
did
that's
you?
giving his age away, really, isn't it?
And we used to break a few rules in those days.
I wondered where you were going with that.
Break a few rules.
Pammy,
No.
you're on the air. You
There are a
can't
lot
talk
of
about
woods
people.
here.
Yeah.
Mike knows.
Pammy, what goes on tour stays on tour.
You're listening to Radio Badminton with Rory Bremner on tour.
I train this girl sometimes.
Oh, right, okay, well...
This is
Have we got an
Claire.
interview? What's happened
Claire
to all the
Abbott.
interviews?
Well, no, because they're going to...
Oh, because Rory's more...
Wait till we get Bettina, and then we'll slip in Bettina as an interview. But we got Claire Abbott, 30-year-old Irish competitor on a horse called Euro Prince.
I haven't actually trained this combination for a year, but this little hothead of a chestnut started its education with Claire. The hothead is the horse, and I probably worked with her for 4 or 5 years. And he's so improved, but he could be a little monster. And Peter, when we've seen a few difficulties of horses leaping in the air, this actually leapt at me.
Okay.
And that's his party trick.
Was that the end of the beautiful relationship?
No, it wasn't. We improved things after that. She went to Rio.
Oh.
Statsman is asleep on Twitter.
No, well, I'm just checking if you're getting any abuse, Pammy. So far, so good.
That's my job.
So that's nice.
Beautiful.
And he's not a very big little horse either.
What's that? Is that the extended trot?
That was a medium trot. So that was,
What's
sort
the
of
difference
same.
between a medium trot and
It's
extended
only a bit
trot?
more. Just it's sort of medium is medium lengthening and extended is maximum.
And how can you be a big little horse?
Well, he's got a big heart. I've got out of that well. And he's not very tall.
And has finished 30th last year and 24th when she was a first-timer back in 2014.
I think, if I'm fair, a big little horse was actually an Indian chief.
It was.
So how are these marks coming
A little bit rushed.
Right.
just there. He's being a little bit strong.
I think the judge at sea noticed that the angle of the shoulder in wasn't enough. They should be able to come in a little bit more, so they're showing at least 3 tracks.
And Claire is a part-time maths teacher and spends her evening coaching students in maths.
Oh.
A useless nugget, but hey-ho.
Not my strong subject.
2 and 2 together.
2, 3, 4, 5 steps back, which should be in diagonal pairs. I never quite understood that, but it was not. It was a bit tense and rushed.
So therefore, the rhythm of the rein-back steps was not clear then.
That's how you turn it.
You've got to be so accurate on this in every part
It's a
of the
nightmare.
test.
And then they got to gallop and jump all those fences.
Have you been around the cross-country course yet, Rory?
I haven't yet. No, I'm going to do that later on. Yeah, when you kick me out, I'll do that.
It's big and bold, they're saying.
Oh.
It looks scary as far as I'm concerned.
So, that's where this all becomes real, is when you imagine how they got to walk in an atmosphere like this, stay settled in an atmosphere like this, and go and jump the fences. You'll be walking later. And that's where this eventing gets quite tricky.
That's the ultimate, though, isn't it? I mean,
It is.
Every discipline.
That was a nice strike-off. Peter's nodded off.
No, I haven't.
We're watching your star pupil here, though, this horse.
Well,
Are you
actually,
pleased with him so far?
I'm not sure that. I'm not quite sure who trains it.
I've got...
So whoever knows can text me. I bet it is it.
Hang
Ian?
on, no, I've got some information. Ian Woodhead,
Yeah,
Ian Furman...
I knew Ian would be furious. He
and-
had dinner with me last night. He's going to be so angry if I take any kudos for this.
And Gabriel Tunney. That's who she's training with.
Okay, so we had a little bit of a positioning error in the half pass there.
That's
he was
bold.
leading with his quarters. Yeah, very positive there.
Is that what you're looking for?
Positive forward covering
but
as
not
much
at the
ground.
end.
Yes, a little bit of a...
Late behind change. Yeah.
So same thing, lifted his
Yeah.
bottom in the air and didn't bring his hind legs through.
Looked like a sort of coupia to me.
Well, do we dare teach? Do you think we
That's
can?
what you're here
Do you
for.
think we can teach Rory how
Yes.
to see a correct flying change?
Yes, because it took you... Well, I still can't.
Yes, you can. Watch
Come on.
the hind legs only. Watch the hind leg closest to us. Only watch the hind leg closest to us. Now, when she goes across the next line, only keep watching that one hind leg. Your eye will take care of the front. Don't try and watch the front. Just watch the hind leg closest to you, and it should come forward and under the body, if you can see with the box.
I
There.
just was
See?
behind the box. Oh, okay.
Now, on this one, it's hard to see because it's coming at you, but watch the hind leg closest to Peter. Okay? And if that
Yep.
comes under first, your eye sees the rest, then that's called a correct flying change.
That's confused me actually, so don't
No,
worry.
you That's only because, no, you're wrong. Twitter, please. Come on, fans.
Are
Twitter.
you looking at the outside or the inside hind
the
leg?
new,
Please write
The
to
new
Pammy,
inside
don't
one.
write to me.
the new inside one.
Yes,
So
the
that
new
was-
inside one, yeah.
The new
Yeah,
inside
you
one.
said the new outside one.
Oh, I meant the new inside. Thank you very much, Peter.
See,
Would
what
help if I
chance
said
have
the
we
right
got?
thing.
So
8, 8, and 9.
Is it always like this, Rupert?
it is. I've been
I
doing
feel like
years.
just kind of...
But
Join school.
in the meantime, let's go and join a
Two
rider who
teenage
has
idiots.
been busy working, talking to the riders, and let's go and rejoin Piggy French.
Joined now by Bettina Hoy. Bettina, you're just so lovely to watch in there. Did it feel as lovely as it looked like?
Yeah, it felt really good. He was sort of ready to go cross country. I think he looked at the first fence and thought, yeah, it's Saturday, I want to go. So I could feel his changes were sometimes a little bit tight. And when you do this new circle that we're doing, he would like to take the opportunity and actually have a little play and a little buck. So I have to contain him a bit, but no, he's such a lovely horse to ride.
And you absolutely adore him, don't you? You live for this horse, really, don't you?
Yeah, I truly do. Like, he is my one and only, yes.
And your thoughts on Saturday?
Well, it's definitely a lot to jump out there. I'm glad I'm sitting on a very good jumper. But there will be a lot to do on Saturday. It's definitely not a dressage competition.
Well, we're all behind you, girl. Kick on and wish you all the best.
Thanks, Piggy.
That's Bettina Hoy looking forward to the cross country, saying it's definitely not a dressage competition. Claire's mark. I didn't see Claire's mark, but I'm seeing if my scoreboard will come up.
I'm guessing high 40s, maybe mid 40s, high 40s.
I should think so.
I'm seeing if it's come up on the.
Now we've got. We're doing the fancy dress now.
Well, this man though might be wearing fancy. Do your Mike Tucker, because you can you work out which country?
It's Thibaut Vallette, France, and he's wearing the famous outfit of the Savoy Hotel concierge.
Is he supposed to be dressed as the bellman? Or the bell? Oh my God! I'm going to get a letter from the French military.
You are going to get a letter from the French military.
Before we started this afternoon, poor Peter was asked to be more serious.
I'm sorry.
And
I've
give
really
more
lowered the
technical information.
I have lowered the tone. But listen, I'm confused. What's happened to the hats, by the way? Who is our hat correspondent here? Because I thought they wore hats for dressage.
New rules.
New rules, they can either wear a top hat or they can wear a crash cap.
Or they can wear military uniform hats.
As in his case. So
not
Thibaut Vallette, France, is wearing...
Bellboys, not necessarily.
Dear, dear. That could cause a major diplomatic incident, like we need another.
He is competing here on a horse that helped him win Team Gold. Got 41 in the dressage in Rio.
That's good.
Well, that's far too good.
And he is first time at Badminton. But obviously expected to go well.
It does look very elegant, and the horse has got its ears pricked, its tail quiet, which shows that there's as yet no resistance as he just enters Badminton horse trials down the centre line for his canter to a direct still halt. Not direct. And the legs stuck out. I was doing quite well.
I like no resistance. That was very good, considering he's French. That was that was very good. It's causing a major diplomatic incident. Get Boris.
I'm really worried. Do we have anybody Russian this afternoon?
The hold hand salute. 6s and 7s.
Do we have anybody Russian this afternoon?
Нет. I'll read you a Russian love poem in a moment, Tammy. Have you ever had a Russian read a love poem to you before?
I haven't. It's an experience that I will take on in the coffee
There's a
break.
first time for everything.
Thibaut Vallette, then. 6s and 7s for his Horton City. Do you know where 6s and 7s come from, by the way? That's the London Livery Companies.
Oh, is it?
And there's about
that's
100 and there's two of them. I think it's the Saddlers and something else, funnily enough. We're talking horses. And then number 6 and number 7. Seriously, and the Worshipful Company of Saddlers and the Worshipful Company, another one. And they swap places each year. One is number 6 and one is number 7.
Well, there you are.
You're listening to Dressage at
Radio
Mike Tucker is 73-year-old. We've just 73 years of age. It's covered from Twitter.
Right, back to the test. What's going on?
Doing a nice extended trot there. Good transition back to collected trot into his halt. The horse is nice and square.
He has got some very high marks of 8.5 across 3 judges. These judges are in more they're happier this afternoon, aren't they? Did they have a good lunch?
Yes, I think so. We're seeing some nice horses though. That you see, he's got an 8.5 for the halt.
Yes, but they're agreeing. Before lunch, they weren't agreeing.
Oh, well.
Perhaps they've had a chat with each other.
I think they probably have.
But they're not allowed to.
Now, you were saying, Rupert, this horse, King de Brio, had got 41 at Rio.
Yes, 41 at Rio. So that's according to my endless statistics I've got here. 41, and then went, jumped clear but picked up time faults in the cross country, one down, finished 13th at the Olympics.
Well, I think it's an elegant partnership, and I think it's going to go, it'll end today in the top 5.
And it was and he picked up a bronze medal with this horse at Blair Castle at the European Championships, which I remember just getting wet at.
Ooh, that was at Blair Castle.
That was witty. That was a late behind change, if ever I'd explained it correctly in the first time. You would have seen it.
Let's see that reflected in the marks. Oh, yes, 6.5, 5 from Judge
They're
M.
feeling very generous.
Oof.
Peter,
that's
you'd have given that a 5 or a 4?
Yes, of course. It was a late or very short change behind.
4 is the Craig Revel Horwood mark, isn't it?
It is.
It goes low. Picking up now again.
That was nice.
For this change, you see that change came through there. That was a nice change. So
Sarah Harbold just tweeted, Pammy, which leg are you supposed to watch again? The hind leg?
Yeah, well, we'll come to that, back to that. Hopefully I'll say the correct blasted leg.
shall I do the explaining this time?
Well, only if you're going to watch the... He's going to canter and stretch first. Let's get this lovely Frenchman that is doing a good test. Just probably going to go second with the marks that we're having. Third, fifth. Right hind leg is the one you should watch. The one that comes across this diagonal line is the right hind leg, which is the first leg to come through for the change, which it did do. It is now the other hind leg, the left hind leg, that should step through, and if you watch that, your eye takes care of the rest. Peter, please tell me I got that right.
You did have the right hind leg that time.
It was a glass of wine at lunch. You're just cross because you went in the director's tent.
Absolutely.
And I was.
Furious, actually. I was at the trade stands.
You're very unhappy.
Eating an Indian samosa, which now I stinker.
Oh, my word. And tell me, how was your flying change in the director's box? Did you manage to get your leg over, Pammy? I'm sorry.
I don't think I'd better answer that one.
So your wisdom was that we've just seen a top 5 dressage test.
Is that sub 40?
No.
I haven't been paying attention enough to the marks, but I mean, he's been getting some quite
Says
good
the commentator. We never get Mike Tucker say, well, good test. I wasn't really paying attention to that test.
But we are brutally honest in here. We get points for that.
But as an overall feel, Peter, to get you out of not watching half the test.
I really like the horse. The horse is a lovely horse. Showed some really nice moments.
Well, I'm the one who's been trying
Remember,
to shut
he's
you
made
up.
a few mistakes.
889.
Low 40.
Had a late behind change. He got 6s for a shoulder in. 888.
He's getting good marks for the end marks, though. So yes, it looks like he's in the.
There you are. 9 as a rider, 8.5.
He's definitely probably.
I did try to.
It's 39. Is he going into the lead?
Thank you. He has.
Oh, well done.
No, Bremner, you wrecked this.
Don't blame me.
38.7. Is that 38.7? I've got a pole in the way.
It is.
It's a bit much that he's going to dismount after this test and he's going to have to take your bags up to room 4.
I've got a question for you, Pammy, but I wonder if Rory would know how to answer this. And how do you get a horse out of the habit of sneezing as an evasion tactic when working? Coming from Jenny Duran. See, this is the kind of level of question.
What was the question again?
How do you get a horse out of the habit of sneezing as an invasion tactic when working?
Put your lips together and blow.
Peter, Pammy?
Peter, do you know the answer?
Stop a horse from sneezing.
Well, I think it's a symptom rather than the horse is obviously stressed.
Do you know that Lorna Johnston, who was the first great person to represent Great Britain internationally, hopefully you know that name, Peter?
I do.
Used to teach her horses not to sneeze, evasion or not.
Okay, that's very interesting.
You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't. How did you do that?
I'm not quite certain. I should
Put
think
a
she
sneeze bag
belted
over their nose.
I should think it got a little bit of a belt.
Normally horses sneeze sometimes in frustration.
Agitation.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they can sneeze because they're getting frustrated. So it's normally a sign that they're getting a bit het up and mentally frazzled.
Okay. So Camilla Speirs, I've heard good things about her as well. She knows what she's doing.
You're right. But she's on a horse called Porter-sized Justajeff, 17-year-old bay gelding, she's been here many times with this horse, 4 times, and they've completed 3 times at Badminton. And her best score on this horse was at the London Olympics when she scored 47.6 on this horse.
Interesting. Can I ask you a question about dressage, Pammy? I don't want to interrupt you.
Well, I may not be able to answer it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, do they learn this test time and time again, or is there a danger that if you do it too often, the horse starts to anticipate? Do you know what I mean?
Most horses, people don't nowadays allow them to learn the test because
Right.
they anticipate it, so they do it upside down and inside out. But actually some horses and some movements, if they practice them, gaining confidence because they really know what they're going to do. One of the things that's crept into the British team training has been that one of the last movements you do is a centre line with the halt with the move off, because that's the first movement you do in front of the judges, and if it impresses the judges, there might be a hope that they'll stay impressed for a little longer than they might otherwise.
Right.
Did I do that right, Peter?
Yes, yes.
I think she wants a bit more than yes. You basically just gave her a
Oh, yes,
6.5. Okay, so how is Camilla doing so far? So
She's done a very nice medium trot. The horse looks a little bit against the contact in the half.
what does that mean?
Well, he's poking
Pulling.
his nose and pulling away from her hands a bit. Can you see how he's
Yes,
sort of
that's
trying to
not-
poke his nose?
Okay, that's a sort of wide V as opposed to a
It
U.
is.
This has completely ruined, Peter, you being more technical to those experts that were looking forward to your technical
Peter thinks he has a huge reputation as a dressage judge, and now
think
he's
we're
been
destroying
shattered.
I hope he turns up tomorrow.
What's that move?
This is extended trot, so really you can see a difference. The horse really punching out with the
Yes.
front legs, pushing himself along with the hind legs, and then back to a collected trot. That was quite a nice change over from the extended to collected.
That was bad.
So that was 90 miles an hour rein back, unfortunately.
Showing tension.
We're looking to see regular, even steps back.
And smooth
Of course,
transitions.
if you've watched Strictly, watching dressage can't be too different. It's dancing, but no music.
I've done Strictly.
Of course you have.
When did you do it?
I remembered it well.
You blink and you'd have missed it, I tell you. I was knocked out by Nancy Delolio. And I'm still suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Post-traumatic Nancy syndrome.
You don't get over that in a hurry, do you?
Who won it your year?
I don't know, but her flying changes were ridiculous. Right. Medium walk. Oh, that's quite a low mark, isn't it? 6.5,
Yes,
5?
there's.
Can you see it looks a little bit choppy? So that's why he's not getting such a high mark. It's looking quite choppy and tense.
We're now sailing.
God, what has happened to dressage at Radio Badminton?
It's, well...
We're now sailing. Perfect. Right, well, she's done a good flying change. Peter and I are just struggling to explain. There's a 5.5 and there's a 7 on the board, and Camilla rides this horse really nicely. I've noticed a difference this year to last year. She's trying to get more marks by more extensions and asking a little bit more, and I'm not sure that it's not paying the penalty of a little bit of tension. But I know Carl and I can remember last year, just hoped that there would be a little bit more in all directions, and there is more, but it's then not as settled. So this is what we were talking about earlier, how difficult it is to get the balance exactly right.
You could almost try too hard, in a sense.
You can.
I would say the main problem with this horse today is his acceptance of the contact from her leg to the hand. He looks like he's resisting a little bit.
Help me out there.
Yes, I knew that was coming. I could hear that one.
There's a bit of whirring going on there.
Yeah, the
With
leg
the
to
two
the
R's
hand.
with the two P's.
Well, you're supposed to have the horse softly listening to the legs, just immediately. Quite comfortable to sit on, and if you touch the reins, you can keep them in a nice round outline. And by that, if you look at the ears to the tail, this horse just goes a little bit hollow and inverted. Could just have its head down and in a bit.
You
in
can see
simple
the
terms.
resistance there. He's resisting the rider's contact and trying to keep his nose poked out and almost trying to get his head higher than she wants him to be.
I see. And if you want to know how it is done, I guess we're about to see with the very next horse.
Yes, we should.
And that will be Michael Jung. But no, Camilla Speirs has done the job with Porter Size just a jiff back here again at Badminton. We wait on her score, and still confirming that out in front we have Bettina Hoy with 39 point... Oh, no, we don't.
It's not. It's a Frenchman.
Well, sorry. It's
Thibaut Vallette.
Oh, it's the
I'm
waiter.
afraid, sorry, it is Thibaut Vallette.
But my score hasn't updated. I've been caught... you see,
and your memory...
Amateur half hours.
No, Rupert, listen and learn.
I think it's his memory.
You've done this before, Rory. Have you commentated a sports event? You must have done most things in your career.
No, I haven't. I don't think I have done some serious... I'm just messing around, really.
I just wondered what Prince Charles is happy with the news about his dad today.
Well, it's amazing. It was a very hard decision. And I said, why are you stopping now? He said, because I don't want to beat that Donald Trump chip.
So I think that's...
I think that's probably absolutely right.
He says I could go now before Trump arrives.
I think it's great, by the way. I want to meet the Queen. She's a beautiful lady.
Well, we're about to meet a beautiful rider.
We are indeed. I'm going to shut up for the next 5
Sorry,
minutes.
you were in full flow. But you could do it as Donald Trump.
No, absolutely not. No,
Please don't.
This is respect. This is a giant, isn't it? I mean, this partnership.
Oh.
Right. Tell us about this then, Pammy and Peter.
Why are
Well,
these?
Rupert,
well, I'll just tell you.
Statistics must be mind-blowing.
Well, they are mind-blowing about this guy. He is basically rewriting the rule books. And actually, if you talk to many of the riders, they all say, just like Tiger Woods rewrote the rule books as far as golf is concerned, and the pros all had to say, we've got to raise our game 10-fold, 100-fold just to live with him. Michael Jung is doing exactly the same. Spoke to Andrew Nicholson yesterday, and he said, even I, and I'm 55, I learn this guy has changed the way we have to approach it if you want to be as consistently good. He may have the horsepower, but the fact is he's come from last week.
A big round of applause. Look at this horse.
La Birsatexam, the defending champion, coming in, won it by 9 points last year, completely dominated from the start, and it's just such a joy to watch him coming in here.
Now, Peter, you're a smart judge, and you say... And I said to you earlier that first appearances are helpful. You cannot say that subconsciously, whether you knew this was Michael Jung or not, you take one look at this and it says, wow.
Yes.
Class.
And it's positive, isn't it? Comes in such a positive way.
And as judges, you know when the good riders are coming in. Do you try and stop yourself being blown away so you don't automatically feel that you're being sucked into the fact that they are the best and you're just by name and reputation?
I think you've got to be very careful of that because you've got to judge what you see.
But this has come in saying, I mean business.
Look at me.
It's forward. Yeah, it does say look at me. And that's an expression I really like. It should say look at me.
So did the treble last year, didn't he?
We won the Rolex Grand Slam, yes.
Kentucky and Burley.
Burley, Kentucky, and Badminton, and he won it here at Badminton, and it was, well, only Piffer Funnell's done it before, back in 2003, so that's just showing what he's now, I mean, if he wins here, he could then go to Burley at the end of the year, he might wrap another one up.
Oh, okay, well, that was not quite perfect. The canter was a little bit not quite straight on the approach. The halt didn't halt, so he gave it a firm reminder. And then the horse took him out of the first halt rather than him. So it won't get a 9. Well done. Are they marking what they see? So that would have been a disappointing first mark. 3 6s. Quick recovery to the 7s.
Nice, easy, shoulder in, good angle.
Half past steps are a little bit hurried. Could be a little bit more ground covering.
I think this horse wouldn't be the biggest mover in the world, but what he is very accurate, balanced, and very well ridden.
That'll be good. We're all holding our breath. C judges solidly on 8s, which is only good, and it is good. It isn't the biggest mover.
17 years of age now, Sam. Double Olympic gold medalist. The horses as well, not only and Michael Jung, just to rub salt into the wounds of everybody else. He's just too good on this horse he's been.
And there we had a nice extended trot, not a super extended trot, but a really good transition back. So You would have
3, 4,
that.
4.5 steps backwards. I suspect the high marks, and he knows it. I think it was once explained to me, if you get 7s all the way, you've ridden to 70%, and then if you've got a few jokers that you can pull out to the 8s towards the end and the 9s, then you're home and dry. So that's what I think is going to happen here.
Extended walk, looking for a little more ground cover, but the horse is staying relaxed. Still some nice steps there. Nice transition back to medium walk again, a little resistant to the contact.
Smooth transition into canter. And that's good. And it should be an 8. Flying change, 7.5 in my book. Could have just gone a little more forward. Canter half pass is nice. Be happy to give that 8.5. It's forward going, Peter.
Yes.
Are you happier on the right rein?
Yes, it's looking a nice balance.
Yeah, there we go, that's 7.5.
Really positive
Bold.
steps. Yeah, and bold in the extended canter.
Back a
Clear,
bit.
easy flying change.
They scored 34.4 last year. Is it on that?
No.
Okay, that was quick.
Well, poof. All these last ones, he'd be wanting the 8s solidly, and they're still sticking at the 7.5. Flying changes just aren't quite as ground covering as the other canter steps. That's nice. Mark, Peter, before they put it up.
I would give an 8 for that.
And that?
That's more in the sort of fairly good 7.5 range.
And that?
And again, the same thing, a 7.5.
So
easy. What's stopping the 8s is the fact it's not really springing off the ground and showing that much expression. But it's amazing, once you start to just clock up 7.5, 7.5, the odd 8, he'll be over, you know, sort of 70, 73, 74% anyway.
So, Michael
is that
Jung
going into the lead?
has got to beat
Clever man, and they're very even marks.
38.7 is the score to beat.
9 for his last
7 and
halt.
7.5.
I'm not sure he will, actually. I think that
It's amazing. Let's see what the marks.
just didn't look quite as effortless. He's pretty, I don't know the first thing about it, but it just
So
wasn't
Savoy
as good as
Man,
last year, though.
and the Savoy Man is staying in the lead.
It wasn't as good as last year.
Don't think so.
There you go.
34.4.
Rory Bremner watched
Shush.
Dressage last year.
I kept quiet.
He's been
Yeah.
pretending he doesn't know anything about it.
Well, I tell you what, there's a lot of people out there on social media land want you to stay forever and come back tomorrow, but you've probably
No,
got
they
work to do. You've probably got work to do.
I know. I'm having the weekend here,
Third.
thank you.
Oh, happy days.
Oh, they were. Okay, that was all right. So 40,
Yeah.
so he's into third.
Oh.
So, third place at the moment for Michael Young, Germany. And, well, we've got 2 Germans in the first top 3. Bettina Hoy, Germany.
Will somebody
In
tell
second,
Mike Tucker
and-
what a tough time he's been given by Radio Badminton?
Well,
He knows already.
yeah.
He's good.
But nobody has more respect than me for Mike Tucker. He's a great guy. He's so wonderful, Tammy. And you too. Nobody's got more respect than for you. So beautiful. And you should come to Kentucky. It's a beautiful country, beautiful place, wonderful horses, beautiful horses.
So we saw that was
Yeah.
Michael Young straight into third place. That's interesting now, isn't it?
Well, it's opened it up now.
40 depth.
Because when you come in on a 34.4 day one,
Then that would have
people
opened
sort
it.
of think, well, you
Yeah.
know,
Why do I bother? And
got a
then now,
fence in hand before you even started.
But I think actually that's quite refreshing for me to see that the judges actually just gave him the marks that what he did.
That's why you got this sort of slight, I wasn't out of breath on the first centre line, the huff and the puff. I'm really glad to have seen that got the 60s, because having seen him on the outside, knowing who he was, he came down that centre line and just wasn't great.
But
why does that happen then? Is that?
I think I might just
is it
kill this
hang
wasp
on,
in
wait
my
a second.
spare time. shall I?
If you break the window,
there's a death and destruction. Do you
Killing a wasp.
This is why we're all scared of her.
I tell you what, I have never seen any. I would give you 9s for dispatching that wasp. I'm sorry.
For any wasp lovers out there, sorry, there's been a bit of death and destruction.
If anybody's missing a wasp out there from their collection, I'm afraid that Pammy has just dispatched it. Was Henry Blofeld? You just dispatched that wasp with extreme prejudice. I mean, she dismissed it from her presence.
I think it was one of your voices earlier that did me.
Which one? Who do you have? You got David Attenborough. And so the extremely rare Badminton wasp,
that American,
reduced to only 4 left in the world.
Yeah,
it's now down to 3.
Destroyed by Pammy.
So who's this?
Gwendolyn Furr from
France. Nobody's
France.
hearing you, Rory. Isn't it marvellous? Your mic fell off.
There's just the other mic.
Oh God, you're all over.
I've got so many. I'm broadcasting on.
You're going to walk out like Donald Trump.
I am.
That voice.
I'm on Fox. And
He's in real trouble now. He's already realised.
I'm stuck in this voice now.
Yeah. You get stuck in that voice.
Romantic Love is the name of the horse.
That's more Bill Clinton, isn't it? I like the look of this horse. It's got a great name, Romantic Love. I love it. So, who is? So it's Gwendolyn.
Gwendolyn Furr.
Gwendolyn Furr, France. Romantic Love.
That's uphill.
Oh, now talk me through uphill. What do you mean?
Well, it should look
My wife
as
says
if
I give her a lot of uphill.
It should look as if it's going.
Ask them about how they treat their politicians. It's very good, because in America, you know,
It's different.
In America, when the president comes in, they play Hail to the Chief. And when Bella...
Going to get into trouble because they are
Bettina Hoy from Germany, second on 49.2, and third is Teulere from Abbott, because of Germany with second Sam, who has a score of 4. So that's the top three.
Welcome back to the final session then on day one of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials. I'm Rupert Bell. It's been a fun session, the first session this afternoon. Delighted to have been joined by Rory Bremner, but now some degree of back to normal. Well, the bar's been raised. We've got Peter Stott and also Pammy Hutton with the two Ps here to cast their expert eye over the remaining competitors on day one here, which is headed by Joseph Murphy. If you are listening to us on radio, very welcome. Also in the car on 106.1 or online as well, wherever either the pictures or listening to us online. A very good afternoon to you. Do tweet us your thoughts, questions to our two experts on dressage at BHT Radio. Love to hear from you. And Pammy's at it again. If you were listening earlier, she's trying to be in killing mode. This time a fly is trying to get terminated here in our radio commentary booth. But the first rider going this afternoon has been here a few times, Sportsfield Othello. It is Joseph Murphy coming in to the arena on this 16-year-old Bay Gelding who's competed here 3 times.
So, Peter, not bad. The entry is sort of 6.5. The medium trot rushed a little and ended very early. It ended closer to P than F. Does that worry you when people don't ride in the right place?
Yes, I think it matters quite a lot, because you're supposed to ride, if it says to ride from one marker to the other, it's important that they do ride from one marker to the marker that it says. So I think he almost ran out of a bit of steam there, didn't he, in the medium, so he finished a bit too early.
Can I just say hello to Tara Llewellyn, watching us on YouTube in Kenya. Good afternoon, Tara.
You can. You've been very quiet. We haven't had too many explosive tweets.
No. Well, I was basically this afternoon. Obviously, Rory was in the house, so the reaction on Twitter was extremely funny and amusing via BHT Radio. But some of his comments, and it was a great privilege to have Donald Trump visiting us here this afternoon. But we're now back to the reality of watching a horse that gets around about 50%, just a bit over 50, not 50%, 50 marks in his dressage as a sort of marker for him.
Well, he's not going to creep into the 40s today, I don't think, Peter, do you? Unless the canter work really picks it up. Again, it's not a... He's a nice horse. He's a nice bay gelding, beautifully turned out. Joseph looks well turned out in his tall top hat that we have discussed a couple of times over the years. But that all aside, the horse doesn't show us this showing off feeling and doesn't have big expansive paces. It's a little... He is what he is.
Yes, I think so. And he actually showed some quite nice steps in the extended walk, a nice ground cover, some tension in the medium walk as he picked up ready to canter.
Got a good mark for the collected canter, that's a 7. Again, Joseph coming back early with a late change at the end of it, so just having picked up some 7s. That will probably go back down to the 4.
They finished 25th as a combination back in 2015. Here?
Yeah, I've ridden this horse, and...
why did you do that?
I used to, ages ago, train Joseph.
Okay.
With his horses. Yeah, that got the 2 for the change.
Ooh.
Another late flying change there. And you can see that this horse stays rather tight in his back, and so therefore the canter rhythm is not really clear.
And by that, you mean the 3-time beat of the outside hind leg, the right one in this case, then the diagonal pair, then the left front. And if you watch the diagonal pair, it's split a little bit, so it's a what they call a 4-time canter.
Exactly. Well, that was great.
That was better.
Yeah, that was really good.
You see,
really
the glass of wine has worn off.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I'm making more sense.
Did you have one at lunch?
No, I had half a glass of wine.
Did you? Well, you see, I didn't. I didn't even have any.
Well, I'm really hoping to wrangle a ticket for you tomorrow. Good.
How was your samosa? We never really got to get to the nitty-gritty of your samosa, Peter.
It wasn't great.
What, the samosa?
No.
I'm feeling so upset that you didn't get there. Maybe if I gave you my ticket, because I'm on a diet because of next week's competition. So I'm not supposed to eat lunch. Right, the halt at the end, disappointing, just not square again in front this time.
I had the feeling he stepped back a little as well.
So I don't think Joseph's going to be really happy with this score, but having listened to the radio in the break, it's all about jumping those big fences on Saturday.
Well, Joseph Murphy completes his test. Wait on his score. Just to confirm the leaderboard if you are just joining us. And it is Thibaut Vallette who leads at the moment with 38.7, and then Bettina Hoy 39.2, and Nabir Satek-Sam and Mikael Jung there on 40.0. And the best British rider is Alexander Bragg so far, with Zagreb leaving him in 6th with a score of 44.6, and it's the first Badminton for Alexander Bragg. And actually Lydia Hannon is inside the top 10 as well, with being a first-timer, and Willa Newton. So 3... well, in terms of badminton, first-timers having a go here, and all have begun well. But we're waiting on Joseph Murphy. Pole in the way, can't read the score. Over to you, Peter.
It's 58.9 and ranked 29th.
Okay, well, that's what you were very much predicting. So who's coming in next? Well, it's Emily Gilruth on Topwood Bow. Emily is 40 years of age, based in Cheshire. And was all about, unfortunately, was going well in 2016 here in Badminton, but didn't present at the final trot-up.
Well, that must be so sad to not just be right on that final trot-up.
And after that was after a clear in the cross-country too, so obviously it would be really good if she could have, well, not only a good dressage today, but a good cross-country on Saturday. So we're just waiting for her to come. Here she comes into the arena.
I didn't write that last score down. What was it?
15. It was quite high anyway.
58.9 or something.
He goes into 29th.
Oh, we asked earlier whether Chris Bartle was having an influence on the dressage.
Yeah.
And he is beginning to already. He was very busy in the collecting ring. It just reminds me, this is another person for Great Britain.
Can I say, yesterday I was down at the rider briefing, and I did notice something, that both Dickie Waygood and Chris Bartle got all the British riders together in a sort of, not quite a huddle, but he sort of said that he was basically available to all and sundry to be around, and don't hesitate to call if they've got any questions. Obviously, as you know, most people have their own teams around them, coaches like you've done, and what, Peter, you were doing with Jesse earlier as well. But if you wanted just an extra pair of eyes, he was around to help.
What a nice way of tuning in and joining in, and I know that that's exactly what he was doing.
And it was
I think there will be a big influence.
Well, he obviously made a huge impact on the Germans, where they're known for dressage, but he got them right at the cross country. And look what has been the benefit.
Well, I think he's got huge leadership skills, and I think this came to mind because here we have a British competitor, and we've seen some very good tests today, and I know that quietly as I drive out of Badminton, particularly tomorrow night, and then looking at the leaderboard, it's sad when you don't see the British riders up in the top 6. All Brit.
But another thing is it's the horsepower it ultimately comes. We've got all the talented riders, but you also need a bit of horsepower, isn't it? That's the other debate. Thoughts on that at BHT Radio?
So what are you saying? We sell them all to Germany?
I have no idea. I'm probably out of my depth.
No, I disagree. I honestly do think that the leadership from Chris has come at exactly the right time. That's tactful.
Well,
said well.
No,
it was.
That was very tactful for me.
Well, what it means is, sport always evolves and changes, and Sir Alex Ferguson was long enough at Manchester United, but someone had to replace him. And look what's going on at Arsenal.
I think the dressage training with the eventers, and have said so, and I've even said in my columns, could have been improved years ago.
Okay. But now let's get to the nitty-gritty about Emily Gilruth.
Well, she's had some good marks.
Peter, your thoughts?
Yeah, she's been doing some nice things. Just slightly lost her balance and contact in that extended trot. Coming to a nice halt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice steps back. A good transition forwards to the medium walk. Looks like this horse has a nice walk.
Beautifully turned out in the sun, all the quarter marks gleaming. So picking up now the 3/8, one is an 8.5.
Yes, I think that's a nice extended walk. Back to the transition to medium walk again.
And at-sea canter, and it's hard to do that on these fit horses really smoothly and softly and without the little bit of tension that just crept into this partnership in that transition. Tail's a bit buzzy as it goes across the arena.
Yes, and into a late flying change. The horse, you could see the horse hollowing in anticipation to that change.
Actually quite difficult for these horses to walk that 20-metre circle, switch off, stretch, pick up canter at sea, gallop across the arena and pop a change in.
Yeah, it's a well-designed test, this, to show whether the horses are on the rider's aids and listening to them.
Just had a tweet from Aiken, South Carolina, cheering on our USA ladies. They call themselves Fraulein Design. Rolex hangover cured with badminton horse trials and badminton radio. Lynn Symansky coming later. I want to see the biggest range of countries that are listening. We've already mentioned Kenya, we've mentioned the United States. Tweet away where you're listening to us at BHT Radio.
We normally have one listener in Australia, don't we?
Well, normally on driving from Wagga Wagga or something like that.
I remember that last year.
To Brisbane or something, because there's some horse show going on about the same time. So anyway, whatever, wherever you're listening, you're very welcome. Please do let us know. And a lot of people are listening, and someone with the sun shining, Josie Guthridge, just said, someone pour the Pims. She's watching badminton with her. Well, I don't know which one of you is the mother and daughter, but it's mother and daughter having a lovely time watching badminton.
I didn't see that change, did you, Peter?
Yes, it was what we call short behind, where the hind leg didn't come through, so it was a variation on the late flying change.
I mean, that is such a well-designed box. It's just impossible at this angle to see Peter is 3 metres further over than I am. Could sit on your lap, Peter.
So some mistakes there.
Quite expensive. I feel that the flying changes are an area that really need establishing.
Yes.
Because that's what's really let her down, big time.
So Emily Gilruth completes. And next up, another of the British competitors. The youngest British competitor this week coming in, Imogen Murray, who is 23 years of age with her 10-year-old black gelding. Ivor Gooden, which is
I tell you what, that's nice to see. These judges are rewarding where things are good. So we've got a 9 from a judge at E, and yet they're perfectly happy to give the 2s or the 3s. They're using the range of marks today.
Yes, they are, which is good. Really
Hello,
good.
I'm starting to hyperventilate. You were agreeing. You're praising the judges there. You were pretty brutal early on, but now you're starting to praise.
Well, they did go through a phase this morning before lunch where they weren't in total harmony. Let's leave it that way.
Do you think they've just got their eye in?
No, I think that the recognition of correct changes, as Peter hinted at earlier.
Well, so far we've got Aoife Crotty has just tweeted
A
from
little
Ireland.
iffy.
Caroline Hunter is listening and watching in Italy. So Italy, Ireland, America.
49.6.
That's put her into 15th spot. And how does that compare with last year? Well, I have to say my stats people suddenly haven't printed out one for Emily Gilruth. I must take a note of that. But anyway, Imogen Murray's coming in. First badminton for her, as I mentioned. And best with this horse, she's done 45.5. That was at a 2-star at Barbary Castle. And she has got Burley. She competed at Burley last year, but on a different horse where she scored 57.5. And but she did manage to compete. That was back in 2014. She was young then when she competed. And completed.
Did she do young riders teams or?
Help me out here. I'll just check. I haven't got that information
I
to
don't
hand
think she
immediately.
did, because she hasn't got the flag on.
Right, okay. But she scored a career best dressage of 49.6 at Belton recently. And so that's a pretty good effort. That was at middle of last month. And that was on this horse, but actually then didn't go in the cross-country and the show jumping. So 49.6 was her score at Burnham Market.
So the entry was probably straight, little difficult to see at this angle, but the outline in the halt hollowed away and he stepped back and just didn't produce a nice picture. Now, Peter, am I going to leave that one to you?
Yes, the medium trot lacked some push from behind and was running, and he didn't really lengthen really that much in his stride. Had some interesting differences in the marks there for that.
Yes, well,
but a 5.5 and a 7.5.
I just had a tweet from Rebecca MM. Watching and listening from Mull of Kintyre, Scotland. Pammy was my trainer. Say hi from DD, 1987, Red Rider with Adam.
Well, there you go.
Does that mean anything to you?
Of course it does.
Okay.
Particularly the Red Ride.
Right. Well, do we
Peter, who's
Yes.
going to be the first?
To say about the slightly losing some rhythm at times.
That's the tactful way.
So what's the brutal way?
Well, I would have to say that the words one writes is perhaps a little uneven or rhythm not regular. But as a trainer, I would just say there were some unlevel steps. And you're not to know, did he stand on a stone, or is that the contact through to the bridle, which it can be as well. But for me, since the first shoulder in, I just think that not every step is dead regular.
Yes, and I think, it can be down to a lack of suppleness, a lack of acceptance of the contact.
Could be the right foot, but the left front doesn't take as big a step as the right.
Quick question. Where do you halt? In front of the letter or with the gift at the letter? Greetings, Rick. Thank you.
The rider at the letter, isn't it, Peter?
Yes, it's a rider.
I could ask you when I'm halted today in the Grand Prix.
Yes,
and
you can.
See,
Yeah.
I need to spend a long time there getting my breath.
Yes.
These riders are a lot fitter. She's in canter. And the horse is concentrating. Sometimes when the horse doesn't have its ears pricked, that's just that it's concentrating. He popped in a little bit of a buck at the end of that rather than a smooth flying change. She's doing her right half pass. The horse is looking to the right, moving to the right, coming off her left leg. Her contact's more even.
Yes, definitely in the canter, this horse is starting to improve in his balance. Quite positive in the extended canter, a little bit early back.
Ooh.
And again, another late change. So we've had 2 late changes so far with this horse. So obviously a little bit of a problem. Although I have to say it is much harder to do the flying changes from the extended and medium canters.
Chris Bartle told me how upset he was he hadn't got the flying change in the medium canter over X. Do you remember doing that years ago?
I do.
I said I thought it was a jolly good thing because they tended to buck.
Well, I remember one rider getting bucked off in it.
And we're talking Grand Prix riders here. Late behind change.
So that's the third late behind change. Let's see whether she can get this final one.
It was improved, but it was still short behind.
Yeah.
Left the ground at the right time, it just didn't step under. So, do you give late behind changes 5s or 4s, Peter?
4s.
I'll back you. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Well, entente cordiale, but Imogen Murray has completed now, and well, she's got a big fan club here in the arena watching her complete, and well done to her, and wish her well for Saturday afternoon for the cross country. Just a quick tweet here from Be a Coward. Listening in Dorset whilst riding my eventer in the school. Great listening to the advice whilst riding. We've got one from Switzerland. Christina Wiener is listening in from Switzerland, and someone. The American states were notching up. Listening and watching from Wisconsin, USA. I think that's WI. Much more fun and educational than homework. We are, and I do find this every year to be a homework interrupter. People doing exams.
Yes, and aren't we going into exams, GCSE?
Yes. And we've got, Australia's just come in. We've got California, Pennsylvania. We're on a tour around everywhere at the moment. Hiddle's Rockologist, loving the commentary. All dressage should be like this. Watching from Perth. Watching from South California. Barb Hughes.
Okay, so we've had a 56.
The voice of reason, Peter, getting back to the real thing. We're a dress president. How did she get on?
56.5, rank 29.
Well, that's all right, isn't it? That'll do, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, she scored 62, 61 and 62%, which I think is fair enough, considering she didn't get her fine changes and she did make some rhythm errors in her trot work.
Well, there's a big crowd down at the Mark Togg big screen somewhere. Where I'm not exactly sure where that is here, but they're loving it down there as well. It's a lovely afternoon, probably having a glass of something cooling while watching. So next in, we have Rosalind Canter, best name for a rider.
Yes.
The 31-year-old riding All-Star B, making it a first time at badminton, but they have competed at Burghley.
Quite cleverly riding very close to the cameraman.
But hang on, might do all right, because she did score 40.2 at Burghley in 2015 with this horse.
Of course, the standards of the different competitions could be different. Peter?
Yes, it can be. Although I have to say...
They're coming much more the same, aren't they?
Yeah. And I have to say, I quite like the way she's riding this canter work in her warm-up to start the test. It's always uphill, energetic, good rhythm. Looks like she has the horse nicely in front of her.
Just going back to Willa Newton just before we...
The judges, I think they're taking quite a long time. I mean, I think this is... God, she had sort of looked whether they were having an afternoon nap.
Willa Newton scored a personal best today. It's a good effort, 46.2, and as I say, puts her in 10th at the moment. So a very good effort from her.
Okay, so we're looking for a nice straight entry in canter. Looking for positive, active steps. And we should see the rider start to collect the horse, shorten the step into a nice balanced halt. Okay, well, not too bad. He landed a bit heavily on his front legs, but quite a nice direct transition out. I would say that would definitely be a fairly good to good mark.
They scored 47 last year at Burley, these two.
So we have a very big difference. We have a 6.5, an 8 and a 7, so nobody agreed on that.
No, but I agree with you, Peter, in every word you've said, and it was helpful to be brought back to the reality of what we're really looking for. This has actually had an impressive start, which has been recognised, but not by all three on all occasions yet.
Yeah. Again, we're moving on to the shoulder into the left. We're looking to see a uniform body bend, all staying in the same angle. And then the trot, we want to see active steps, the horse looking in the direction he's going, with suppleness, energy, and elasticity.
And I think it's showing a lot of those qualities, and the Judge D is giving it, was giving it 7s and 8s. And then the other judges been 6.5.
And she kept quite a nice rhythm there in the extended trot, but he was slightly against her hand. He was opening his mouth a bit against the contact.
You can just see that. On the screen, actually, you can see that more.
Yes, you can.
What must we be? 200 metres from the horse?
Yes.
This is where you've been seeing the tongue. You've been watching the telly. I've been watching the horse.
Well, can I tell you, Jerry's who's doing the pictures is listening to your every word, and when you start talking about something, he will then focus on it for you. So therefore, he can
like
give you,
he is now, zooming in on the mouth.
Yes, thank you, Jerry.
Oh, that's very good.
It's really interesting.
Well, I didn't know we could train the cameraman.
Well, no, the producer who will then train the cameraman. That's the way it works.
Well, this is stunning.
Yes.
Okay.
You've got total control, you two.
Hold on, Peter's taking over.
We're now seeing a nice extended walk, a really positive ground covering steps. Let's change over to medium walk.
Into canter, even.
Yeah.
So he could zoom in on the hind legs for this flying change at the end. Thank you very much. I'm dead impressed.
Yes,
there you are,
there
with
you
all
go.
that.
Yes.
Perfect. Unless you're sat listening to radio badminton with no television. In which case, it'll be a bit more tricky.
Well, then you've got to give them the full benefit of your vocal knowledge.
But if it were live streaming, this is becoming more and more helpful. I can see what you mean about the tongue and the mouth. It's just showing that bit of resistance.
He's riding nicely positively forward and everything.
That was nice.
A very nice flying change there. The horse got a lot of lift and expression in that flying change. Again, the half pass to the left. I'm not awfully
quarters
sure. Yes, I
leading.
was just going to say whether the quarters were leading or it's just the angle I was seeing it from. Into the stretching down circle where the horse should take the hand down and forwards.
Doesn't quite.
No. Average marks for that, I'm afraid. The horse did stay in the same canter, but he didn't really stretch enough. Moving on to the collected canter and the flying change.
Right hind, we watch.
Left hind. Oh, right hind.
Right hind, the new inside hind leg. You see, you have had a sneaky glass. Left hind.
Very, very nice changes there.
They were very positive and forward ones.
Yeah, they were. But and we've had a few 7.5s for those.
So if the contact was all just a little more comfortable, these marks
would be a bit higher,
would go to the 8s.
Yeah.
Because there's lots to like in this test, active and
So, where is that, mid-40s?
Yes.
Okay.
Surely, hopefully.
Well,
Now, Rupert, what were you trying to
Well,
show me
what
on
I'm
your
saying is
telephone?
Louise had just tweeted us at BHT Radio, watching from my classroom, dressage whilst marking. Please, Louise, concentrate on the marking, because you might be playing havoc with someone's future. But it's great that you are watching us, because I've just seen a picture. It is on the big screen. Does the boss know that you're doing this? Anyway, with lots of people watching, and we've got people watching the live stream from Lexington in Kentucky. That's Erica Spradling. Thank you for all these tweets. Again, lots of people in the United States, Indiana. We've got Doreen Mayfield watching.
That's 45.3. Sorry, Rupert.
We said mid-40s, didn't we? It puts her into 9th. So another one, making her badminton debut. It's not a PB for her, but here at badminton, it's a really solid start. So actually, if you look at it in the way the British riders have competed, the younger... Well, Tina Cook opened up with 47.2, but ahead of her are Willa Newton with a PB of 46.2. Lydia Hannon's right up there, 45.1. And Alexander Bragg with 44.6. So a really encouraging start for those younger riders representing Britain here this week. So putting her into 9th, that's 45.3 to confirm her score. So not a bad effort.
This Wrighton very nearly needs a clap. She's running to all the boxes, picking up the test sheets. Have you not noticed her?
Yes, she comes. Well,
look, there she goes.
It's quite hard work. Well, she gets 5 minutes gap, doesn't need to regroup.
I'd need 5 days off if I ran that far.
We got the first person. Alina Blitz is listening in Croatia. Someone's just tweeted, Pammy could train donkeys to dance. I don't know what that means, but anyway,
well, there's obviously Carl Hester on his own is one thing, Peter Storr on his own is another thing, but the two of them together are lethal, and I know that they have both said that I can teach donkeys and cows to do flying changes.
Well, there is one question.
That's very rude.
Yeah, but there is a question for both of you. This has again come from Fafa Jane, listening in the Emerald Isle. Does Pammy think the judging is more consistent this year?
Yes.
And she is loving your commentary as well. So you think, Peter, obviously, how do you assess it as consistent looking scoring and
I think it is.
Yes, I think, I mean, I've seen a lot worse before now. There are some differences which are just surprising, but overall I think they're coming out fairly consistent at the end.
If we would stand back and we were having a gossip on the way home, which we won't do because we're not the same cars going in the same direction, the biggest area is just their visions of the flying changes.
Yes.
Or not.
Yes, I agree, yes.
Well, let's carry on now with another rider coming in, and I can't do a Mike Tucker impersonation, but if he was here, Rory Bremner would be able to introduce Klaas Reumacher, Germany, but that's nowhere near a Mike Tucker, but I've used the phrase, similar phrasing, but Klaas Reumacher is coming into the arena, and 24-year-old riding Kato.
What a good halt.
Lovely halt.
And what a first-class halt.
And interestingly, while you've been chatting, I've been watching this horse, trot and canter around the arena. It's a lovely horse. The attractive horse.
Why has that got a 6? 8, 6, 7.5. Maybe it wasn't straight, Peter.
Yeah, maybe.
What? Given by the German to the German.
They finished 6th at Po last year, opened up with a dressage of 44.1, and then just had 3.2 time faults in the cross-country.
Good rhythm, good crossing in the half pass. I've taken to watching the telly now.
I think he could possibly have taken the shoulders a little bit more on the diagonal line so that he was facing where he wanted to go for the half pass, but it was still, fluent.
A little bit of tilting there.
And interestingly enough, he didn't really get into the shoulder.
No, he didn't. Did he forget, I wondered?
No, I think he just is struggling slightly with the flexion there. This is interesting. This is not as
evenly connected,
as I thought it was.
left to the right.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought this. Oh, here we are. We're going to have a really nice one here, but it's not just giving quite as much as I thought it would.
Evenly connected. Help me out here, Peter.
Well, it probably pulls more on one side.
Yes, I think it's more. What Pammy's saying, it's pulling more on one side of the contact
Than the other. Ah.
And again, not really wanting to stay straight and connected.
So the Rainback was all telling he got a pat from the rider there. So the Rainback sort of shows when there's a bit of underlying stiffness, or well, we don't know, but I'm willing to bet that this horse is easier to turn one way than the other.
Yes, it doesn't look so easy to the left.
No.
And you can actually see a little bit of that in his contact. The bits were pulled a little bit more through the left-hand side of his mouth than they were to the right. And this horse has got a nice walk, but not really staying active and purposeful there in both walks. Into the extended medium canter, and we saw really good use of the hind legs, pushing him and propelling him along. Hopefully we'll see that again in the extended canter.
Spooking a little bit at the camera, and then into a nice right half pass.
It's interesting, we haven't seen that many horses spook at the camera.
No, we haven't.
Klaus is the son of the 2008 Olympic champion, Heinrich.
Say that once more.
His father won the gold medal in 2008.
Oh, there you go. It runs in the family. The horse definitely doesn't like the camera. The rider before actually circled that camera until to really settle it, but I think he's quite close to the arena.
And here we're seeing some head tilting and resistance a little to the contact, to the bend to the left. And unfortunately the horse thought, okay, we're on the centre line, perhaps this is the time to stop. So he stopped before there, which was expensive.
So 4 and 2 7s over the flying change. Actually sort of really backs up that Peter and I both feel that the qualities that they're looking for in the flying changes could be improved.
Dorothy Strait's enjoying our coverage in Newbury, Massachusetts. My wife's from Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Well, can't even say it.
I really thought this was going to be an exciting test.
Yes, and it just shows that the horse really is not really quite concentrating on his aids.
I don't think it's quite as easy as we thought either.
No.
Well ridden, because there's not an awful lot different that you and I would do unless, I mean, obviously it's in the training, but with that horse underneath you in that situation, there was nothing more that the rider could do to save it.
No, exactly.
Well ridden.
Well, that's Klaus Roymaker. Let's now go and rejoin Piggy French, who's talking to Rosalind Canter.
Ros, good girl. I thought that looked fab. In fact, I thought Mark could have been a little bit higher than that, really.
Yeah, I'm really over the moon with him. He doesn't love the dressage. He tolerates dressage, but he's such a good boy. He's always a good boy, and he always goes in there. He stays calm, and you just can never fault his attitude towards life. He's fantastic.
I think it was actually Judge C that obviously missed a glass of wine at lunch or didn't have something to eat too nice.
I think apparently his mouth was sometimes a little bit open, so maybe he saw that a little bit more than the others, but no, he was a really good boy today.
Oh, and you just look fabulous. I'm a big fan of you, Ros, and I just think you go in there and really present a great test and give the horse every chance it can do.
Thank you. Well, he certainly makes my life easy because I know that he's not going to suddenly blow up on me, and actually the more positive I ride and the braver I am, the more he gives me. So I'm not sure I'll get another horse like him in the way his attitude is towards that. So I think I count myself very lucky at the moment.
Well, positive and brave is what you need to be on Saturday, and hopefully if he tries as hard as he does on the cross country as he did in the dressage, then you'll be smiling like this hopefully Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He's just he's a really big and brave horse, so I've just got to go for it with him and try and stay with him, really. He's always going, and I've got to be brave enough to sit tight and hang on, and off we go. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, good girl, kick on and hang on, but best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, a good effort from Ros Canter, whose average over the last 12 months has been 45.2 at dressage, but she's coming with 45.3. Did we get a score there on that last one from Class 1, Peter? Were you watching?
Yes, it was 48.2.
48.2 for Class Roymaki. So there we go. Next into the arena. I've got a question for you, though, before we watch Michael Ryan. Dunlop Striker is the horse that he'll be riding. Either of you, do you have any advice to make the flying changes not late? That's coming from BMT Eventing.
Over to the expert, Pammy.
I teach an exercise in walk, so the horse, and it's impossible to do over the radio, so the horse gets used to the new positioning of his muscles. It was something I was taught absolutely years ago. And you teach every single minute detail in walk until the horse is really happy and confident. So you might turn onto a left-handed diagonal line and then walk right half pass. I'm going to leave you with that tidbit today because it's going to take you forever to work out how to turn onto a left-handed diagonal line, HXF, and walk right half pass or right travers. When you've all worked that out, ladies and gentlemen, we will get through this test and we can come back to that maybe tomorrow.
Well, Dunlop Striker is the horse that's coming in.
I taught you this, Peter, years ago.
You did, and it's a very good exercise.
It did help.
It does take a bit to get your head around it. It's very good exercise. But basically, if your horse isn't doing correct flying changes, it's normally to do with the quality of your canter.
I disagree.
Do you think
because I have had horses with no canter at all. And you can teach absolutely any horse to do a flying change. It's a trick, and that's probably why I can do it, because I don't need a good quality canter. Mr. Storr?
That's true.
You
That's
see, I
true,
knew
yes.
I'd have you on side by the end of today. So it is the only movement in dressage that I think is a trick.
Well, Michael Ryan finished 9th on Ballylynch Adventure 2 years ago here at Dunlop Striker, where they...
He's from Ireland, so...
Yeah, they won in Mill Street last year in a CCI 3-star, and won with a score of 54.7. Their dressage score that day was 54.3.
So Rupert quite rightly bringing us back to the dressage in the arena, having asked me an impossible question.
Well, no.
To explain on the radio in 2 seconds.
Well, sorry.
But this being given sort of between 6s and 7s, it's all right. It's nothing incredibly exciting. It could be a little bit more uphill, don't you think, Peter? He could sit a little more elegantly. The hind legs could be a bit under. Now I'm being rude, but you know, it's a bit ordinary. But to somebody listening, they're going to say, why? The rein back was crooked. Maybe I need a sweet cup of tea.
I think he's done some nice parts. It's just the extended tended to run not quite in balance, and then there was a crookedness in the rein back. So it's normally down to the horse being equal and connected in the right way to the contact.
And it's here, I would say, if you're training, it's not completely straight or accepting the contact on the outside rein.
Yes.
In that half circle, it was overbent to the left.
It was.
Oh, good. You see,
Yes,
we're in
yeah,
perfect harmony,
yeah, exactly.
Rupert.
Well, the synergy between you two is...
The walk was hot to trot. It wasn't relaxed. It all but jogged. And canters forward going and comes back a little early to the flying change, which was correct. Perhaps a little bit snatchy. Could have been a little bit more fluent.
I wasn't sure whether that was correct, but anyway, perhaps I'm...
Oh, we've obviously...
disagreed again.
Well, I'm going to pour
Let's see
some
what the
coffee to
judges
wake
give
myself
for that.
up.
Let's see what the judges
Well, you
give
might have been
for that.
right. Maybe I blinked.
I love your thermos. That is a tried and trusted thermos. It's seen some action.
It has. It's very old.
Can I take a photograph for our listeners of the tried and tested Hutton fueling system? Well, see what I mean? It's a great lead weight. But anyway.
Well, that change was neat. I can agree on that.
Yeah, and the marks aren't. They are. How do you describe fours again? As I love the phrase.
Well, you're saying
sufficient.
that's not sufficient.
Yes.
So, yeah. So they were, and that's how easy. And I have to say, in the judge's defence, Pammy, you know, you blink just at the wrong moment, and you can just miss something.
Well, yeah. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
And the concentration can lapse. And, you know, this is some judging marathon over 2 days. Because you will walk out of here, Peter, on Friday night and think that you've judged the whole thing yourself.
Yes.
It's quite exhausting.
You see there the horse rather jumping through the air in the change, not really staying through his back and accepting the contact.
That one was a little bit better, but a little bit snatchy.
They don't look like they're 100% established, do they?
Or it doesn't look a flowing picture, for one thing, and one reason or another. So I hope he goes and really enjoys and jumps the double clear. The last halt wasn't square. The marks aren't dreadful, but they won't be in the top 10.
So Michael Ryan, well, will be content with that, I would have thought. But next up, we've got, Laura Collett was due to come in next, but sadly, she's had to pull out.
So I can go on with my flying change.
You can go on with your flying change.
For 2 seconds. 2 seconds
go,
more.
go on.
Having
go on.
done it 3 times in walk, you come onto the diagonal line, and you give it a very good kick. If we're doing the HXF, I always choose short diagonal lines. H to B, you give it a good kick with the left leg. If that doesn't work, your second exercise to do is to put it on an 18-metre circle on an inner track and teach him to change and go disunited and change only behind. And once he's learnt to change behind, you let the front end go. Bob's your uncle. Learned a fortune doing it, Mr. Storr?
Yes, you have.
With bad canters.
Yeah.
The worse the better, the bigger the challenge.
Yes.
Do you agree with all that, Peter? Because I'm nodding sagely that I'm sure I understood every word of that.
Well, actually, Pammy does have it's a very good exercise, and she is brilliant at training horses to do flying changes from whatever canter. But normally,
we could call them difficult horses.
Yes, but you are.
But
very
the good horses,
good.
I agree, they're a different matter.
Yes, but in general, you're looking for getting a jumping, springy canter. In which you're emphasising the moment of suspension to give the horse a clear chance to change legs. But you're absolutely right, Pammy. I think it is a very good exercise. I've used it on several occasions, and it's really worked.
Can I just give you a talk about the judging consistency? Our statisticians working behind the scenes have come up with the news that 27 of the 31 scores to date, that obviously may not be including that one, the judges have been within 3% of each other.
Yeah, I think they have, and at the one test that we really moaned about earlier, what was interesting was the marks really were incredibly varied, but that the end results, they were so varied, it was astonishing that the end results came out so close. So they just varied uniformly.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes,
I'm with you.
It was more by luck than judgment.
Well, there's going to be a bit of a gap obviously
What's happened?
Well, Laura Collett's is not well.
She's not well?
No, the horse picked up a problem just before the trot up and then woke up this morning a bit stiff.
Ah.
So it had to be, I did something just before the trot up and slipped or something, and then obviously just may have tweaked something and quite rightly pulled out this morning. So next in will be Lynn Symansky. So for all the people of you listening in America, stand by your radios or whatever means you are watching and listening to us. But in South Island of New Zealand Horse and Pony said they're listening there where I should be sleeping as have busy days ahead. So there you go. Many thanks for tuning in wherever you are. But in the meantime, let's go and rejoin Piggy, who's with Imogen Murray.
Imogen, a good boy, just still a little bit green with his changes.
Yeah, it's something that he struggles with, he struggles to learn, and they have been getting better, but not quite in that atmosphere in the arena. He still finds it quite difficult. But no, I'm really pleased with him. He's only 10. It's not his favourite phase at all. And he's been quite excited when he's been here, so I was just quite pleased that he stayed calm and he did everything that I asked him to do, even if he didn't quite manage to get the changes today.
Oh, good girl. And I noticed at the end you kept looking down, and he slipped a couple of times. Were you just looking to see whether he'd lost a shoe or something?
He lost a stud before he went in, and I was just sort of checking that his shoes were actually where I stood on, because he just kept losing his left hind a little bit. But, you know, those things happen and you have to kind of just deal with it and carry on. So, no, I'm pleased with him.
You do indeed, and you've had a great spring with him, so you'd be pretty confident coming here that you've got a good relationship together. Now you've walked the course, are you still as confident?
Yeah, I think so. It's difficult to say. Obviously, it's his first 4-star, so it's a little bit in the unknown, but he's felt really good this spring. I've had him since 4-year-old, and I feel like we know each other inside out, so I'm hoping for a good day on Saturday.
Well, I have all my fingers crossed for you. We'll be really hoping that you have a fantastic experience here.
Thank you.
Imogen Murray there talking to Piggy French after her test, which saw her score 56.7, the youngest British competitor here, not the youngest competitor here. That belongs to an Irishman who'll be going tomorrow. Tomorrow, that's Cathal Daniels, who'll be going in the afternoon session tomorrow. He's 20. We have an age range of 43 years between the oldest and youngest, and I wonder whether that might be the biggest gap in terms of age range ever in the Mitsubishi Motors badminton history. Over to you, Equi-Ratings, to come up and see if you can find that one out. But that is a pretty big spread. But it shows, well, not only the durability but of the riders, but also the passion and commitment that you need to compete. But now let's hear from another of the riders competing here. He's been a regular here, and that is Joseph Murphy, who's once again with Piggy.
Joseph, I can tell from that look on your face that you are a little bit disappointed with that.
Yeah, I've worked hard in this phase with this horse, and it seems no matter what I do, it's maybe I'm trying too hard, but he was very relaxed today. He can be a little bit sort of sharp and hot in the arena, and probably I reverted back to that way of riding. I didn't sort of trust myself to ride him in that way. I feel actually that it's the start of a good process, you know, with his relaxation and everything, but there was too many mistakes, you know, and that becomes sort of little mistakes, nothing as in he wasn't doing the things you want, but they were all just a little bit, you know, in the ring. For badminton, you can't afford to be making those, so just have to keep going.
You do, but you've recently become a daddy. So days like this, you can go back to the wagon and give Daisy a big cuddle and think tomorrow's another day and keep working away at it.
Yeah, listen, the priorities change, all right, and that's really important. And this is an older horse as well, and it's not a strong phase for him. So, you know, it's all relative at the end of the day, still in this sport. But yeah, tomorrow is going to be an exciting day, I think, so put our energy into that now.
Well, good luck, Joseph. We'll look forward to watching you.
Yeah, thank you, Pete.
Okay, well, that's one Irishman talking, Joseph Murphy. Here we can go back to Piggy, because just after his run, she spoke to Michael Ryan.
Michael, pretty pleased with that, really?
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. I think I should have been a little bit more proactive in the changes. As I said, I think I got a couple of 4s there for some, and he's good at them, but I mean, it's his first 4-star run. And but I'm pretty pleased now. It's very close to the 40s.
You guys are getting hotter, aren't you, you Irish lot, in the dressage phase? Is that influence from Mr. Woodhead? Does he yell at you a fair bit?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've great trainers there. Woodhead, Sandy Phillips, you know, they all have an input, and it's working, you know. And we just need a bit of look at the green, and I don't think it'll be just dressage competition here, anyway.
No, and it's his first 4-star, you say. So, are you happy enough, do you think, with the course for him?
I am. He's a very bold horse and very ambitious. He'll probably be a bit enthusiastic. I suppose you just never know, do you? But he's brave, he's straight, you know. A bit of luck in the day, and hopefully it'll go well.
Well, brave and straight is a good start anyway. So, like you say, a bit of luck on the day. Fingers crossed, kick on, have fun.
Thank you very much.
There's Michael Ryan talking after his test, but we're now back on track after the gap because we had hoped to be watching Laura Collett compete, but now it is Lynn Symansky, the 34-year-old American, on an ex-racehorse. It is Donna, and Donna coming into the arena, and this 14-year-old gelding, and our first badminton for both of them. And a big American contingent has come over here, and this horse was the travelling reserve for Rio last year. And they've done all right at Kentucky, where they've had 3 top 20 placings, so expect something reasonably good to kick off with. And they've done 46.4 in a CIC 3-star before, and were at Burley back in 2015 and scored 47.7.
And then clear.
Hang on. How did she get on in finished? Went pretty good actually. Finished 14th.
Good girl.
With time faults in the cross country and just 4 show jumping. So finished on 64.9, so 14th in Burley in 2015.
Well, going around the arena, the acceptance of the bridle looks nice, no major resistances. Both of them turned out impeccably. Sort of a thoroughbredish looking horse.
It's known as Donna the Deer.
Are we allowed to say that?
It's very elegant horse, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Come on, keep that canter awake.
Again, they're getting quite a long time to go around the arena beforehand.
Is it because they're not due to start till 34?
That's what I... Have
they
we
come
just
in
been running a bit quicker today than sometimes?
Well, because we've had the gap with Laura there.
No, but there was one earlier that took a long time, and sometimes you can appear on the horizon and get round once, and the bell goes and you have to be in. What's the number of seconds, Mr. Storr? Bell to enter?
45.
It's quite a long time. Almost do a dressage test.
We've got Vashik listening in the...
Do you ever eliminate anybody for going over the time?
You don't eliminate them now, unless they go 90 seconds over the time. They get penalty points off.
That's probably kinder, because it can be quite difficult to just judge. Have I been outside the arena for 25 seconds, 30 or 45? Yes. Or 48?
Someone apparently thinks we've got a lot of gin in your thermos flask.
I hate gin, but I didn't dare want to cross Rory Bremner any more than I already had.
I don't know the little village called Tickhill in South Yorkshire, but Vashik is listening in that village. So good afternoon to you. And I think the American listeners now will be expecting big things of Lynn Symansky, who, according to my Pippa Room, who must have done the Horse and Hound preview, expecting a top 20 finish.
Yes, I can understand that. It's looked very nice going around. I thought it did a nice entry. The judge at E would have expected from the canter perhaps a slightly more engaged halt, but it was better than we have seen.
Yeah, and the halt wasn't 100% square behind, so that's why the judge at E probably noticed that. Thought the medium trot steps were nice. There's some nice steps in this half pass to the...
So with nice, we're sort of thinking 7.5, aren't we?
Yes.
Good makes us immediately go 8s.
And this horse is a real cross-country machine. I'm looking
too much bend in the left shoulder in?
Absolutely, far too much bend. That wasn't such a good shoulder in. Half pass looks very nice though.
We keep
speaking
over you, Rupert.
No, it's all right. I'll shut up.
No, well, you can tell us...
Well, basically, cross-country is a bit of a speciality. May not be the quickest horse, but has an ability to get round. And that is a wonderful asset to have, because she sort of consistently has good finishes as a result.
As a rider, if she'd just ridden that out a little further to M and then shown the transition, that would then get the 7.58. A little close to the rail, the horse just a little bit upset in the rein back.
Yeah, she looks like she needs quite a lot of speed in the extensions. You know, she needs to really push on to get him to open out his stride.
Yes, I know the feeling.
Have you always been looking to open out your stride?
No, I've been always needing a little bit too much speed to get to the end, and not the drug, I might add, to get to the end of the extended trot.
You should try that, actually.
Do you think that would help?
I think that would really help.
A bit of speed.
Bit of speed, yeah.
Okay.
I already take the cannabis tablets. I've got
What?
to check whether they're legal.
So what did you just say?
They're a new
Bleep button, Mickey.
painkiller.
Oh, painkiller.
Yep. Got cannabis in. But to mix it with Peter's suggestion of speed.
Hang on. Let's get back to the dressage.
Sadly, a late change there.
And why? Rider fault.
Rider fault. She didn't really collect the canter enough, or whether she couldn't really collect the canter enough.
Did you come up off her seat?
Yes, I think she got desperate.
She got desperate. She just tipped forward
She did.
and lost her seat. And she's got a good seat.
Yes,
So
she has.
the 4.5s and the 5s reflect that flying
I'm
change.
sure we've all been there, haven't we?
Yes,
We've
we
come
have.
towards a change and gone, oh no, I'm not going to make it. Oh damn, I didn't
And
make it.
actually, you just have to sit down more and move your legs. And she does actually come up off her seat for the flying change.
Yes, and again another late flying change. So these are expensive, unfortunately.
So she needs to go quietly home maybe and ride those without her stirrups. That's a good cure for that.
Yes.
'Cause
And
there's
then
a-
I come back to the same old thing, better canter.
Okay, so better canter and without her stirrups.
Yes.
Now look, my mother has just come back to haunt me. You're not wrong. The canter needs to be better, but the seat needs to be in the saddle for the flying changes.
Yes.
Mr. Stall.
Absolutely.
I think it's the wasp who's going to come back to haunt you, the way you treated that earlier. Poor thing.
Yeah, she got a nice one there.
Yeah. Here, left leg forward, get it ready, and sit down push. She rides those better there.
Yes. Again, they're in an easier place. And
They are.
One thing about this test now, it's nice that they've got straight lines to do the changes on.
Did you ever see that 4-star test with more serpentine loops?
Yes, I did.
What sort of nightmare was that?
Yeah.
I call that the loop test. Good girl. Nice halt at the end. Square. There was lots of light in that.
Yes,
So,
it was.
where do you see it? Sort of top 20 off after that? I mean, the top 20 mark.
The changes are expensive.
There were some very expensive flying changes.
And it is actually, I will confess, I thought Rory's mass was as fast as his changing of voices. Because he pretty well had the mass at the end of it. But it is difficult because they've got to verify it and times some of them by 2. So we've got...
She's had 8.5 and 8 for the halt, so she's moved up and clawed back some marks for the final halt. Let's see what she gets for her paces and her the horse's impulsion and submission. 7s for the paces.
She won't get the highest rider mark. She won't get, in other words, an 8, I don't think.
And then the impulsion...
Submission, that's right, to mark that down to 6.5. And the rider, there you are, the judge at sea is pretty cross with her.
Yeah.
6.5 she gave.
Yeah, but she's gone into 12th.
She may well have done Rupert, but she could have gone into 3rd.
Okay.
With correct changes.
No, you're absolutely right. But Donna the Deer, as it's known, and Lynn Symansky have opened up with 47.2. Is that right there? It must be 40.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I'm going to. You've got but it's a fence that's actually a blocking because there's the final fence in the cross-country courses in between my line and the scoreboard.
But we must be too rude, because am I not right in saying that Mr. Thomas has now given us an aerial view in an effort to get us to see? We used to be at the ground floor level and missed 50% of the arena.
Well, that's because you had a quiet word.
So we see a lot more than we used to.
No, I quibble. I've got my scoring man Peter at the far end doing he's on eyes. Right, we've got just 2 more to go on this first day of the Mitsubishi Motors Badminton Horse Trials. Mind you, the leaderboard, we saw Thibaut Vallette go into the lead with 38.7, Bettina Hoy, designer 10, 39.2, and Michael Jung is in third with 40.0. Not his best, but still, well, with his ability on the cross-country, he's not that far away. It's still, well, he still must be the favourite.
I've got a photograph that I carry around with me still.
Of?
Charlie, Pippa, Tom McEwen, David Dole, and 2 or 3 other riders, all of which extraordinarily became international riders. All riding little ponies aged between 7 and 10.
Name all in one photograph?
Yep.
And they were, again?
All doing pony club riding.
The riders were?
Tom McEwen, Pippa Hutton, Charlie Hutton, Olivia, help me out, pony rider.
Wilmot.
Kirkpatrick.
Oh, yes.
There's going to be a Teulere in there.
Actually got a really nice balance in that canter as he's coming down the centre line.
This
really uphill.
He's now helped by a woodhead or 2, I think.
Well, he's a 10-year-old. This is a 10-year-old bay mare, Toledo de Cursa. Tom has competed at badminton before, but not with this horse before. And
he's a very good rider.
And he has
nice.
This horse. Best dressage. We scored 36.6 at last year's Blenheim.
He rode closer to F than certainly the last riders. 2 8s and a 6.5.
Yes.
3 7s across the board. It's in a nice uphill outline, and the ears are forward, the tail is quiet, a few sneezes, but they're not in agitation.
I think he's
doing a nice picture,
job.
This is.
Really nice picture.
This was they scored that 36.6 in the 8 and 9-year-old at
Very
Blenheim.
good shoulder into the shoulder in. Sorry, Rupert.
That's not just at Blenheim they scored that 36.6.
And very nice positioning and riding from Tom in the half pass to the left.
This is, so far, a tiny little bit of resistance on that corner. Gave it a moment to recover. Extended trot might not be the easiest on this horse, but
kept the rhythm.
He did, and rode it out to the end.
And again, a nice transition back to collected trots. See an 8 from the judge at E. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
First time I've seen 5 steps for a bit. 6
okay,
and
so
2
we
8s
need
for
to
the
watch
halt.
here for the walk. The walk looks a little bit tense. That's the first time I'm like, oh, come on, keep it relaxed. Now the horse isn't quite just taking his hand forwards. You see there's a little bit of a loop in the rein, and he's actually having to work quite hard to try and keep the horse relaxed.
This is one good rider here, isn't it? Because there's nothing else to do to improve this walk.
No, he's having to be quite careful, isn't he? The horse isn't taking his contact.
But if he did anything else, it would only get worse.
And he's been quite clever there, because as he's coming back, he's giving it a pat and saying, just stay with me and stay relaxed. He's doing a good job.
This horse...
Okay, can we just talk about there, the walk rhythm coming into the canter transition was not really correct. There we saw the horse tightening and then becoming lateral, what we call lateral or two-time in the rhythm, which was a shame. And I think one of the judges took that into the canter transition.
Yes, it did.
But other than that, I think it's a really nice picture, and you always get the feeling he's riding nicely forwards to his hand. Horse taking him forwards really nicely in the trot and the canter, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
This horse was second in the World Young Horse Championships in 2014 and won the under-25s at Bremner last year.
Well, he must have a good walk, so it's the tension of the occasion. But you know, I think Tom's showing us an example of good riding.
He is.
Here
He really is. He really is.
His hands are level and he's sitting well in the saddle, and I get the feeling that there's not a single mark that's being dropped here.
No, and he rode a really nice extended canter, and I have to say, I was a bit disappointed to see they only gave him a 7.5s and 8s for it. He did a really good job. Okay, the horse could stretch a little more, but you can see the difference in the outline. I'd probably, yes, would be sticking on the 6.5s because the horse didn't stretch enough. That's expensive. That's going to cause some problems, that stretching circle. Fairly balanced flying change, but a really nice canter coming in.
Slow to the aid there. Tom did ask him, and the horse went lights out a little bit. But a lot to like in this test. And by lights out, I meant late behind. So it's got the 4.5 and the 5 and the 6. Again, a good halt, a little bit of agitation dropping off the bridle, and the tense walk after. That comes into it. Good mark for the collected trot 8. Basically, the judges were dying to give it good marks, and then...
Yes, he made a few little errors.
Yeah.
But clearly this is an exciting horse, given what he's already achieved. And obviously for Tom, 25-year-old, this is obviously one he's hoping that could take him maybe to the real big time. He's competed here before. Dry Old Party and
the walk's improving now, Peter. Now it's hacking out of the arena.
Yeah, the horse just dropped the contact on him,
Yeah,
didn't he?
so by the time it gets back to the stable yard, it'll be...
walking.
Yes.
It's called 50.3 in the 4-star at Poe. Is that a better... Let's give that as a mark.
Yes, it should be.
And they finished 22nd there, so that's a good effort. So coming out, Tom McEwen, one more to go then, and then...
He's getting some reasonably high marks for the impulsion.
Nice to see the judge give him an 8.5 for the other two. Ranked 6th. What's that? 44.6. Well done, Tom.
Yes. Not bad at all. And, you know, frustrating for him because he could have had...
If he'd had that walk that he's got now, this test would have been lying third.
Yeah.
So what's he got? 40?
44.6. Look at the walk now, Rupert.
Lovely.
Yeah.
44.6. So Tom McEwen, but that's still a good score because it puts him tied with Alexander Bragg on that mark, tied for 6th. And our final rider then today is coming into the arena, another one from Ireland, and it is Sarah Ennis, coming in on Horseware Stellar Rebound to end the action today. A 13-year-old bay gelding. First time visitor for the horse, but Sarah has been here before, and she will be, and has had a badminton score of 43.6 12 months ago, and hoping with this horse, she had 40.8 at the Burham last year. So let's see what happens in a moment.
She's not having the easiest time here, trying to go near the camera.
And, you know, just difficult with now the bell gone. Do you go round it? I'd give up, actually, and just pray, but she might well be right, having just got past it. She's now going to go round it again. She's asked him to keep the bloody thing still. She actually lucky to be allowed to move it. So she's managed to move the camera.
No, he's put it back again, but...
Stewart's having a word. I don't know what that means, because he's going to go on filming if it's fair.
I think the normal rules, I don't know whether it applies to horse trials rules, that the arena must stay the same for every competitor.
Yeah.
So if the cameraman's been there, then he has to stay there.
Well, he's gone back into his...
He's now zooming in. Does it make a noise, the camera?
Shouldn't do. Jerry, does it make a noise? Text me. I'm sure it doesn't.
Anyway,
I think
fairly upsetting beginning, really.
It is, and I wasn't sure whether she quite did the right thing there.
I might have avoided it.
I would have probably patted it and just waited till the horse calmed down. I think, you know, in the panicking in the moment, you can be a bit sort of quick to say, I really want to make my horse go to that point, the point that he doesn't want to go to, whereas sometimes if you just give them a pat and say, just it's okay, just chill out about it, it's not going to eat you, and then they calm down.
Yeah, as against that, if she'd let him away with it, she might well be saying to us, and then he was never going to do his test.
Yes, you're right.
So, you know, we don't know. She knows her horse.
Yes, exactly.
And she's now gone in that arena and is getting consistent 7s. And 7.5s with the occasional 8. So, you know, Peter, we might be quite wrong.
Absolutely. Quite nice positioning. Outline seems okay.
Jerry.
First time it's had to come close to the camera. It's the extended canter towards the camera is what I'd be a bit nervy of.
Yes.
Just so Jerry just told me, you know about the camera we're talking about, the
Yeah.
director has just told me he was told to stay in exactly the same place, as you were quite rightly saying, same for every rider.
Yes.
3, 4, 5. Good rein back. So, actually, Sarah's done a good job settling her horse after this upsetting outside the arena incident.
And, you know, the one thing about it is she's fairly determined, isn't she? She's,
Very.
You know, she's gone into no nonsense, get on with it. You know, you're not going to stop
Where
being
was she
naughty.
placed last year?
Where was she placed last year?
Because I remember watching this, I'm sure.
Not this horse.
The year before. Oh.
Not this horse at all.
So it was another bay.
It would have been in 2016. You watched a horse last year, Diamond Deluxe, 43.6.
Okay.
Okay, does that
8,
help?
7.5, 7.5. Well, she rides nicely. I remember that, and I remember also that she does quite good dressage tests. So that's a positive medium canter. So to a correct flying change. Could be smoother. How do you describe that?
Yeah, it just looked like it slightly kicked up and back at her, didn't it? But it was, you're right, it was correct.
She won Chatsworth back in 2014 with this horse. That was a CIC 3-star.
It's a nice horse, though. This is, to my mind, this is her difficult. So she's very wisely going at quite some speed. And actually, it didn't cross the horse's mind.
No, well, actually, you could see the horse looking. She kept her leg on. She did a great job there.
Yeah.
Well done her for sorting it so quickly.
The canter itself, Peter, am I allowed to use a word you use sometimes called rocking?
Yes.
It just rocks a little bit. Up, down, down, down.
Help me out there for the uninitiated.
Well,
you know what rocking is.
I tell you what you get the impression of. You get the impression that the emphasis is on the downhill part of the canter stride, not on the uphill. I think.
God, a man after my own heart. But they laugh at me at home when I say the canter needs to go up, up, up every stride instead of down, down, down.
Yeah.
Change a little bit sticky, could just be a little bit more forward for the 8s. As we're actually coming to the last test this afternoon. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience with us. We will have to say that quickly before we get expelled before tomorrow. Transition into trot, which just went a bit downhill. And how have you enjoyed your first 4-star?
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Induction.
It's been great.
You didn't think you were going to be working with Rory Bremner, though, did you?
No, I didn't, and that was great. He was so funny, wasn't he?
He was.
Hilarious. I hope we weren't laughing too much.
Well, it was a joy to have him up here. It's been joy, Peter, to have you alongside us. But overall, you look at the scores today. 38.7 is the lead mark at the end of the day. It's a very with the leading Brits. Alexander Bragg and Tom McEwen, but we've got France, 2 Germans, well, 2 French combinations, and Mark Todd up there as well. So an international flavour to the leaderboard. That was probably expected, but overall, the way the judging, the way the standard, what's you sum up from the pair of you as we await the score of Sarah Ennis?
I can say that I'm surprised the standard is really good. There's some lovely horses. We've only seen a couple of what I would call poor tests where the horses weren't really either on side with the rider or ready for the test. And I think we've seen a good standard. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah,
Pammy,
I agree. This time last year, I think we'd seen some fairly poor tests, and this has been averaging out, and the good tests have shone.
Well, as usual, Pammy, always a joy to spend a day with you.
And I've got my fly killer tomorrow.
Well, yeah. So it's always a pleasure to spend a day with you, Pammy, and I can do it all again tomorrow. And Peter, likewise, first timer, and he's earned his spurs, and he might even be allowed to have lunch in the director's box tomorrow.
I'm going to give him my ticket.
If Pammy, are you doing another demo tomorrow?
Yes.
Same again?
Not completely.
But just a variation
Similar,
on the theme.
Yeah, we might try out some sort of Grand Prix de music.
Right. So instead of Elgar's variations,
Yeah.
it's Hutton's variations.
Probably.
Okay. Well, we're looking forward to that. We're looking for another day on Radio Badminton with our 2 commentators, Peter Storr and Pammy Hutton. Thank you for your company today and guiding us through the test today, which has seen Thibaut Vallette lead. Well, we're going to join Joe doing this in a minute just to round up the day before I'll be joined by Piggy French and Matt Ryan with a full roundup of the action here at Badminton on day 1. But for the meantime, from me, Rupert Bell, thank you for listening. I'll be back shortly, but in the meantime, we'll have a short break here on Radio Badminton.
Rosalind